Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Oh, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful disaster. Today we are going over the Open Game License 1.1 for D&D 1. Joining me today is my good friend Amishman.
Wrong show.
Wrong show. We wish it was that show, but no. So my desperate brand to rebrand to covering more stuff about comics, this whole nonsense came out. And I managed to get my hands on a copy of the license. So just the brief history for clarity. This is not the first time Wizards of the Coast has changed the OGL. This would be the second time it's changed the OGL. The first time it changed the OGL was shortly after the original release, which was the OGL 1.A, which really was just clarifying some legal terms, where it was saying that you can use D&D for anything so long as you don't use the actual trademark stuff. And then there was 4th edition, which had the the game source license, and that's what ended up creating Paizo and its success of Pathfinder, because they went, no, this game sucks, and made their own, and was very successful. Hello, Researcher Rodriguez. Good to see you. This is going to be a doozy. Hello, Kroger's Hideout. We're gonna dig through this, but this actually isn't even the first time this event has actually happened. You remember? I'm going to ask you this, Amish, and see if you know. You know what happened with 2nd edition?
No, I do not.
All right, so what happened with 2nd edition and with TSR after Gygax was ousted from TSR? Because that was a whole thing in gaming history. They put the CEO that got in charge of TSR decided they wanted to handle the bloat that was 2nd edition by basically releasing whatever they felt like. It was very bizarre. And she famously said, when people were telling her, the people who actually worked on the game were telling her that people aren't liking this stuff, they're not buying it, they don't agree with what you're doing, she said they're going to like what I tell them to like. I'm not making this up. You can go look it up.
Oh, I believe you.
Yep. And then TSR went bankrupt like months afterwards. And then Wizards of the Coast bought it, and that's where the original OGL came from. And 3rd edition Broom. I think Crow is referring to the era of That Woman. I don't know what you mean by That Woman. I just know that the CEO that got into charge of TSR before it went bankrupt was, I think she was like owner. Her like daddy owned a publishing company, and she ended up inheriting all of that without like a single day of actual work in her life. And now we're having this exact same thing almost happen again.
Yeah, this is very similar to what's going on right now.
If I had a nickel for every time that a woman had ruined D&D, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's strange that it happened twice. I think the freaky part is that they have the same last name, too. All right, so let's go ahead and start getting into this open game license, because it's not going to read itself, unfortunately. Oh, geez. All right, so Dungeons and Dragons D&D is all about creativity, both yours and ours. Throughout the nearly 50 years since the first release of D&D, Wizards of the Coast and its predecessor TSR, it's gotta be important that you put that in there because the TSR copyrights are crazy. If you remember, there's still that ongoing legal battle between the current TSR and Wizards of the Coast over who actually owns the rights to TSR. Have encouraged people to build new campaigns and materials on the foundations of the Dungeons and Dragons base game. Historically, we have allowed fans through our open game license to make and sell commercial content using our intellectual properties via the system reference document. This practice has continued for more than 20 years, and we continue to support it today. Hello, Johan. It's good to see you. I agree with this title. Yep. A lot has changed over the half century, including the rise of the internet, apps, Web3, and even virtual tabletop RPGs. Now, in 2023, we are updating the open game license to address some of these new realities and fix some of the loopholes and contradictions that made their way into the open game license during the time since its first release. One aspect of that is dividing the old open game license into two pieces. First, a license covering non-commercial uses of SRD content, which is the open game license non-commercial. And second, a license that applies to the commercial use of SRD content, which is the OGL commercial. The OGL non-commercial and OGL commercial together make up the updated OGL. The revised license is intended to protect D&D brand by reducing creator confusion, preventing bad actors from tarnishing it, and preventing large businesses from profiting off it without proper checks and balances. I don't know about you, but the only large business that I can actually think of that actually profited off of the open game license is Disney. Currently with the KOTOR games.
Two just not get together.
Yeah. Not a lot of video games use the OGL as far as I know. Not a lot of big companies had an interest in Dungeons and Dragons until recently.
Despite all the press and all the buzz that it has gotten over the last couple of years, still really not really mainstream.
I mean, like the thing that made it more mainstream isn't anything Wizards did. It's Stranger Things.
Yeah, a combination of Critical Role, which is not Wizards.
Not Wizards.
Stranger Things, not Wizards.
Not Wizards. The general 80s nostalgia trip that we had like over the last like 5 years. Lots of crazy things. Everything that seems to have made D&D popular over the past 10 years or so, especially with the 5th editions runs, has been because of not Wizards.
Yeah, it has been to people utilizing the OG, the open game license.
Yep. The actual license is available through the hyperlinks below, and if you're comfortable with legalese or somehow actually enjoy reading legalese, feel free to jump ahead to those links. We've included explanations and examples alongside the legal language to help make OGL easier to understand and comply with. Oh, my cat's now just deciding to be annoying. Why? Where was I? We've included explanations and examples alongside a legal language to help make the OGL easier to understand and comply with. You can get to those comments by clicking the link after each section. If, on the other hand, you would like to start with a plain language of how the OGL works, you can start here with the FAQ section. In addition to that, we have included a set of comments in the license itself that accompanies the legal language to provide examinations and examples explanations and examples to help make the license easier to understand and comply with. You can get those comments by clicking the link up to. All right, so FAQs. What is non-commercial use of SRD content? If no money or anything else of value, it's changing hands to get access to the things you create using SRD content that's non-commercial, used and is covered by and subject to the terms of the OGL non-commercial. If any form of payment or income for access to your work is involved or is specific to a particular work, even if it's just $1, it's covered by OGL commercial. To be clear, crowdfunding a new project is commercial use. Accepting subscriptions or membership fees or Patreon patrons as a condition of access to your work is commercial. Accepting voluntary donations via any tipping mechanism or site where you're providing your content for free, regardless if those donations tips, is not. Oh, that was going to be a problem. It's going to take everybody's tip money.
Yeah.
Connectivity.
Is not. If you're giving your work away for free on Patreon or otherwise and asking that people support your work if they enjoy it, that's not commercial. I see a loophole.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's available for free. It's a pay what you want system. They pay me however much they feel like. Of course, you're not going to be able to make a living off that because everybody's just going to take it for free at that point. That's exactly what's going to happen with that. And I guarantee you somewhere in this document, we'll find that that's not going to hold true either. But your work must be given without strings attached if it's going to be considered non-commercial. What are my options for making D&D related content? If you're going to use SRD content to make tabletop role-playing games and game supplements on a non-commercial basis, the OGL non-commercial applies. If you're going to use the content we make available for third-party use to make tabletop role-playing games and game supplements on a commercial basis, and only want to use material from the SRD, but not other materials like the Forgotten Realms setting, the OGL commercial has you covered. If you want to publish works that use Forgotten Realms setting or other content not included in the SRD, that's under the Dungeon Masters Guild. We'll get to this in a moment, because something interesting happened with the Dungeon Masters Guild today. If you want to make videos or other content for monetizing it via ads, it's going to be covered under the Wizards of the Coast fan content policy. I'm starting to notice they're sending you to a lot of different places to get the information. I think at this point we have now reached close to the 900 words that the original OGL was made out of. And as for this bit about the Dungeon Masters Guild, they just put out a tweet like a few hours right before we went live. I think I have it pulled up. If not, I'll find it. I do not have it pulled up. Give me just a second because I want to read this. This is great.
One of the things I am aware of is that there's a YouTuber out there by the name of Legal Eagle who is looking into this, and he's going to be pulling up a video at some point about this whole thing because he's a lawyer.
Yeah, I know about Legal Eagle. He's got some iffy law takes sometimes, but this is definitely something I'd be interested to see what he has to say.
Yeah, so this is somebody who knows all the ins and outs of contracts and stuff like that. You know, he should be able to give more clarity about what the hell is going on here.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't the Dungeon Masters Guild. All right, I had the wrong thing, but it was like one of their big third parties announced they won't be making anything for D&D so long as
there's been several of those. I have a couple of those pulled up.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at another point.
We'll get to that in here in a bit. All right, so fan content policy. All right, what does the OGL commercials mean for me as a small creator? This is the one that everybody cares about right here. For most of the community's content creators, those making under $750,000 per year in SRD-based content, the OGL commercial changes very little and is primarily designed to help us simply know you better.
Sorry.
Bullshit. Under the OGL, those creators will not need to register their commercial content with us. Under the OGL, these creators will need to register their commercial content with us so we know what's out there. Tell us a bit about their products and product sales, and start adding a creator product badge to the material so everyone in the community knows that they're publishing under OGL license from Wizards of the Coast. That
you got to get registered, and basically we're basically going to force you under this agreement, but then you have no say in it.
Yeah. No say in it. I want to point out you're going to have to tell a big company what you're making.
Like getting your taxes done, you got to file all your.
You got to file your taxes. You have to tell us how much you're making. Making Dungeons and Dragons is a labor of love for us, but it's also a business. I get that. That sentence on its own is not a problem. We, like you, want to keep doing what we love and pushing D&D forward.
Yeah.
The open game license was always intended to allow the community to help grow D&D and expand it creatively.
Which is the exact opposite of what this is.
Yep. It wasn't intended to subsidize major competitors, which is what this does.
This is exactly what this does.
Especially now that PDF is by far the most common use for distribution. So
somewhat.
Yeah. I would say that PDFs probably sell more. PDFs are sold than physical copies nowadays.
Yeah, just because of ease of use.
Ease of use. And I mean, we are getting right out of the COVID thing. So a lot of people were locked down. So PDFs skyrocketed.
Yeah, that's true.
So moving forward, hugely successful businesses that generate more than $750,000 of annual revenue will also need to share some of that success with us by paying a royalty of 20 to 25%.
So those like Critical Role, Matthew Colville's company, Cobalt Press, and so on.
Oh no! Of the qualifying revenue, they make excess of $750,000. $750,000 is enough to pay about 2 full-time employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in terms of a business, that's not a lot of money. I want to point out most successful crowdfund campaigns of books at minimum probably want to get about 10 grand. There are some of them that definitely make way over that much.
Yeah.
That amount. And the most successful of them all has been XP's The Level 3's book that he released like 3 years ago, which raised over $1 million. Now, here's another question. What is qualifying revenue? Is that amount of money that you actually raise? Is that the amount of money you actually earn? Is that net profit or gross profit?
Yeah, they don't really talk. They don't really talk about quantify that.
Yeah, what is qualifying revenue? Is that off the top or after all charges? It's not very clear so far. But even for these wildly successful creators, they will not owe anything on any sales made before January 1st, 2024, no matter how much money they make in 2023. We're doing it this way so that creators have time to plan and transition and adjust their business plans accordingly.
You give them plenty of time to jump ship.
Yeah, plenty of time to jump ship. That would be a really great move. A company that's like I don't know who it is who does Call of Cthulhu. But let's take Troll Lord Games, because they were in hot water right before all this went down. So let's say Troll Lord Games releases their own OGL. That says that you can make content for Castles and Crusaders, and it's just like the old D&D one. That's a way to get a whole bunch of people to come to your product right now.
Oh yeah,
some showers.
Yeah, and the especially because, and this is information I'm getting from Clownfish TV, and they're usually pretty right. They got a pretty good accuracy rate so far. Neon's pointed out that there were a bunch of weird attacks against the old school Renaissance brand of the game. There was that weird political attack against Troll Lord Games, the company that owns Castles and Crusaders. A lot of people trying to push a lot of D&D right before all this leaked. And usually that if that's happening all like one after another, it's not a coincidence. We're at 3 right now, and 3 is a pattern. I'm actually willing to bet, and this is my theory, I've said this a couple of times, I don't know if I said this on stream or not, that this was leaked on purpose to see how people would react. And if it was so incredibly negative, which to this point, they would try to retract it and then try again at a later date when people have kind of forgotten. Or they would probably try to fix it up to where it sounds better, but it pretty much is just the same thing. 20 to 25%. Jesus, that's so much money.
yeah.
To put that in perspective, Indiegogo takes 5% of all you raise as a fee for using their site. I think Kickstarter is also 5%.
Depends on the tier you want to pay for, but yeah, I think the highest is like 15%.
Yeah. So they're going to be. What are you going to be left with after that? Because you got to actually make the damn book. You got to pay everybody. You got to pay the printer, the artist. If you're not doing the text yourselves, you got to do the person who's doing the PDF. This is all from my experiences of trying to make Red Squirrel thing right now.
Basically, if you wanted to make a Kickstarter in the 2024, you have to include that 20 to 25% in the actual budget.
Yep, and then that's not even taking into account shipping. Shipping domestically is expensive. Don't even get me started in shipping internationally. I don't know how I'm going to get it to anybody who backs my book internationally. If you guys are going to back Red Squirrel when I release it, hopefully this summer, please, if you're internationally, go for the PDF. That's the most likely way you're actually going to get it. Because goddamn, heaven forbid it's someplace like close to Ukraine or Russia right now, and Germany, and
Even
Australia.
Canada might cost you a good chunk.
Canada, and Mexico, not so bad.
Yeah, but anything overseas, forget about it.
Anything across the Atlantic or Pacific, fuck. Because I mean, like, I got people in Australia who are interested in the book, and it's like, why is Australia interested in an American superhero? Anyway, that's way off topic. See what chat has to say about this so far. Holy Ninja, Wizards of the Coast, making James Workshop anti-fun animation fiascos look good. Oh my God, Games Workshop must be so happy because they're finally out of the heat for once. You are not allowed to use your own 3D printed miniatures that are competitions. The new OGL is the reason everyone's running to the hills. Yeah. 25% of that, even if after taxes, is still around the salary of 10 people in a third world country. It's a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money. All right. How do I agree to the OGL commercial? That's funny. I find it funny because nobody's agreed to it so far. I haven't, ever since this document got out, I haven't seen anybody on the side of Wizards. I mean, like, there are people who are like, it might be fake. It's probably not as bad as we think it's going to be. It's probably not that. The moment this dropped, everybody went, is it real? And the more likely it seems to be real, the less and less supporters they lose. The only people who are supporting them are the people who don't believe this is real. And oh gosh, and what is it that Wizard put out today? Yesterday they said we understand there are people upset. Stick with us. We'll have an announcement shortly or something. And then they haven't.
Yeah, that was like, I think it was January 4th. I'll double check that, but yeah, it was like pretty early on when this thing first dropped, and they haven't made a single mention since.
No. Actually, I have noticed. Then again, it is right after the new year, so I know companies are a bit wonked after, like, that week after New Year's. So I have to wonder, like, what a whole lot of, like, the big D&D personalities at Wizard were thinking. Like, Chris Perkins, is he even still at Wizards?
That's a good question. I would assume he is, but I don't know.
I would assume they're probably under some sort of NDA.
Oh yeah, everybody Wizard has to have been part of an NDA right at this point.
Yeah,
because of how big this is.
Just this bit, and I mean, this is so weird. All right, how do I agree to the OGL commercial? Anyone publishing content under the commercial license will need to register that content with us by creating an account at dndbeyond.com. Providing us with identifying information such as the name of the person or entity creating the work, the title of the new work, a summary of the work, and once the work is available to others, a copy of the work. It's standard issue stuff if you're wanting to publish something third party, but this is just not, I don't think this is how it's worked so far. Then again, D&D Beyond has never allowed third-party content. It was just for official content only. That was what DM's Guild and Drive-Thru RPG and other such sites were for. Now, need a drink of water. When you complete that registration, you'll be confirming your agreement to the terms of the OGL commercial. You can find the registration form here. Okay. Links don't work in a Google Doc, I guess. What if... oh, this is going to be a good one. What if I don't like these terms and don't agree with the OGL commercial? That's fine. It just means you cannot earn income from any SRD-based D&D content you create on or after January 13th, 2023. You got 2 days. And you will need to either operate under the new OGL non-commercial or strike a custom direct deal with Wizards of the Coast for your project. But if you want to publish SRD-based content on or after January 13th, 2023 and commercialize it, your only option is to agree to the OGL commercial. That is slimy, because this was supposed to be officialized, I think, on the 4th. At least that's when the leaks came out. And they were only going to give us to January 13th of this year. So like 2 weeks to get ready. I assumed that this was a mistake, but it's on here twice. It's not January 13th, 2024. It's 23.
The thing with the difference is that is for like people like us. So 2024 is for like mainstream guys, like, you know, like the guys who, the companies.
based on the battle pass tier system. That is in
guys
this
who make the
document later on.
guys who make the big money versus us. Yeah.
Yeah, so things like Paizo, Cobalt's Press, which Cobalt Press has already announced they're going to make their own system.
Oh yeah, there's been a couple major companies, third-party companies for D&D, of jumping ship and claiming they're going to make their own systems.
Yeah. Everybody's. Why is Wizards of the Coast updating OGL 1.1 and subdividing? I'm sorry?
Money. And
subdividing it into commercial and non-commercial terms. A lot has changed since the OGL was launched. Not really. Let's be honest, not a whole lot has actually changed. It's just the internet's a thing. But gets around better. What has actually changed is a bunch of CEOs who see a way to make some money is currently in position. Which if the feedback they believe is bad enough, she's probably going to get ousted. And then somebody's going to be moved in who's going to be better with PR.
I mean, remember, there was a thing not that long ago, a few months back, where they were talking about how D&D is not profitable. Then this shit comes out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So last year, actually the year before last, it was announced that Wizards of the Coast was pretty much the only thing keeping Hasbro up. Then last quarter, Wizards of the Coast is being blamed for why Hasbro is so low because of the whole thing going on with Magic the Gathering. Which Magic the Gathering has always been the bigger property of the two.
Always has, always will.
Always has, always will. That's why they're trying to shove so much Magic the Gathering content into Dungeons and Dragons. They're trying to bring those two customer bases together, not fandoms. Let's be very clear. They don't give a damn about a fan. They want customer base. All right. Fans are passionate about products. Customers buy stuff.
Customers are loyal.
Sometimes you're a one and done customer.
That's true.
The majority of your customers will always be one and done. They'll come in, they're going to go, oh, this is neat, buy it. They may play it once or twice, and then they'll never touch it ever again. Getting that recurring customer, that's where you're going to make all your money. And if that recurring customer is, if you make a really good product, you might get a fan. But fans are weird. They're passionate. They have opinions. Sometimes they make the company look bad. And I will admit, D&D fans can sometimes be a little fanatical.
Problematic.
They have opinions. Or, in the case of this one specifically, are better at the job than you. It's been a joke for a long time that Wizards of the Coast, D&D fans are making Wizards of the Coast products for them. Now they're trying to make money off of it. Sometimes they go off and get a bunch of voice actors involved and make their own stream that outdoes everything you try to do. And then you get your own group of fans, and the only one that's big enough to get in, somebody gets into a cheating scandal in that one. Even if it's not Pro Jared's fault. I'm sorry, I accidentally named him. That everybody forgets about that. Is that Dice Camera Action was the only real successful stream Wizards of the Coast actually had.
Yeah, and that went down the tubes.
That went down to 2 when that whole the divorce scandal with Pro Jared came out. That was insane. And then Critical Role is still going strong, and actually it's getting bigger.
I mean, season 2 is coming in a couple days on Amazon.
I thought they're on season 3.
Oh no, you're right. Season 3. My bad.
Yep. They should be about halfway through their 3rd season right now.
No, I meant the Amazon show. The
Amazon show, the cartoon. Yeah. Think about that. They got so big, they made their own cartoon.
Yeah, raising still an all-time record of a Kickstarter.
$11 million.
Probably will never be beat.
Probably not. I still got questions about where all that money came from. Because I'm looking at that amount of money, and it's like, that doesn't seem possible. I used to think that maybe Wizards like donated like a huge chunk of money into that, and so did Amazon, who had the deal to make it successful. But I don't know. I don't want to have anything. That's just speculation on my part. So don't quote me as like an absolute source on that. It's a PR issue, but you have to consider who brings the money. It's the fans. The fans bring the money. Wizards of the Coast most successful, probably not its most successful, but its most popular product for 5th edition. The most popular adventure was Curse of Strahd, which was like their, I'm wanting to say it was their 3rd or 4th adventure into D&D 5e's lifespan.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it was very early on, and they were not able to beat it. The only ones that came close, I think, were the Tomb of Annihilation. I think Ghost of Saltmarsh surpassed it briefly in terms of popularity. I don't have the numbers. As far as I know, they never actually released the numbers. But I know their last couple of books have been absolute stinkers. Candlekeep wasn't successful. I don't think Strixhaven was successful. There was that one Greek Magic the Gathering setting that nobody talks about.
And the controversy over the star, I forget the name of it, the spaceship.
Spelljammer, where
Spelljammer,
they got Hodosian from another TSR game system. Everybody got mad about the monkey dressed as a bard. Jesus. Let's see here. What's funny is that Wizards is just mad that the fan base is making better D&D books than them in 5th edition and tried to relaunch Spelljammer, which was a huge flop. As far as I know, Spelljammer isn't even out yet. I don't think it ever came out. I don't know. I haven't been following it that well. This is just, I've been so focused on making my own stuff. Hello, Mad. What's Gucci, my doctor? Everything's Gucci. Ravenloft is the only setting that is consistent seller across editions. It's because Ravenloft is a cool setting. Oh, it's out. That's great. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for subscribing, man. Hope you enjoy it. Where the hell were we? Why is Wizards of the Coast subdividing?
I think we went through the why.
All right. A lot has changed. Not really. For example, when we released OGL 1.0a, YouTube apps, blockchain, crowdfunding, and other now everyday technology and distribution channels didn't really exist. Blah, 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 blah. OGL was intended to fund major competitors, and it wasn't intended to allow people to make D&D apps, videos, or anything other than printed or printable materials while gaming. Not true.
That's exactly why they had the open game license. They were perfectly okay with all that.
Yeah. Getting ready to premiere of the latest movies with Mad, and thought I would drop a like and say hi. Well, I appreciate that, Mad. I appreciate that. I hope you have a good time with those movies. I'll have to catch that stream afterwards.
So basically, they're flat out admitting in that portion that they're upset that so many people are making money and it's not going towards them.
Yeah. But as terms of like making all this thing, the reason why the original OGL was made was to ensure D&D survival in case anything like TSR happened again with it going bankrupt. And D&D was lost in terms of like a product. So that way the fans could keep making stuff they wanted. It was not a very complicated thing. It was kept to 900 words for a reason, and the only update it ever got, the 0A update, was just to clarify some legalese speak. It was the most user-friendly legal document I've ever seen. But now we got this garbage. Additionally, over time, the old OGL incorporated some confusing and even contradictory provisions. It's also written in fairly dense legal language, like an actual legal document. So while we're updating it to take into account developments since it was last revised and breaking out commercial use into a separate category, we're also simplifying the language and streamlining the provisions so that it is easier to understand and comply with. Simplifying the language in a legal document can lead to a lot of issues. While the old document was simple, it kept to the point and used clear language. Clear is different from simple. God. Because, I mean, like, you're trying to simplify this whole thing. You made a 9,000 word document over 15 pages, where the last one was only 900 words on a single page, which you can find in the back of any third-party book. For even more clarity, we've included comments that should help illustrate what the provisions do. And you can a link that doesn't work on this document. We strongly believe in the power of creativity and the goal of the old OGL. In this new OGL,
that's a flat out lie right there.
That's a lie. In this new OGL revision in both commercial and non-commercial forms, it's helping our incredible community to build and share campaigns, supplements, and other content, and enriches the way we play D&D. Who can add content for help and information? We don't want all that stuff.
As long as they get cut out the profits.
Yeah. To be determined because there's no official thing. So that's 2 pages of this 15-page document down. We are on a roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Simplifying the language. They increased it by 100 times. It's 100 times longer and more confusing.
Well, the original one was what, 1 page, not even a page?
Yeah, it's only 900 words.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only update it had was like a year or two into its existence, just to clarify legal language for people who don't understand legal language. But legal language is the way it is, so that way there shouldn't be any confusion in court. Now, whether that works or not, because about 90% of your job as a lawyer is trying to twist words into however you need them to work for whatever argument you're putting forward. The other 10% is actually just knowing your specialization of law.
Which is why simplifying the words on this deal here might lead to some problems.
Yeah, simplifying. Using simplifying. And if you notice, they actually are using simplify and clear. Clarify, simplify, all things like that, clarity and all that interchangeably. But those are 2 different words. And they're 2 different words for a reason. Because they mean 2 different things. Holy Ninja. I think legal legends. I think legal language is just a bunch of word flexing. It kind of is. It's this. A lot of legal language feels like I have a thesaurus. I have a word a day calendar. Well, someone should get Ricada on the horn for this. I would absolutely love to see what Ricada Law's take on this is. Any non-commercial use of the licensed content defined below is subject to this agreement. By using licensed content in this manner, you agree to the terms of this agreement. This agreement contains your, capital U, your consent to jurisdiction in Washington State for any disputes between you and us. And your agreement to any such dispute will be resolved in individual legislation heard by a judge rather than a jury.
So what basically is we're going to sue your ass if you don't comply.
This is, I've seen a lot of people like, and I was up on this, is that you waive your right to a jury. Usually things like this aren't usually taken before a jury. As far as I know, that like
no, this is not a jury based like thing that would happen. It was just be a judge.
Yeah, usually juries usually really only get involved with felonies.
Yeah, with the criminal. This is not a criminal case.
Yeah, if you ever are trying to go up against Hasbro, you'll be even lucky if you step inside a courtroom.
Yeah, their team of lawyers will easily smoke.
Oh, they'll just stall. They'll stall you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have to take off my carpal tunnel thing. If a dispute ever occurs, we hope you agree with us.
You notice how they capitalize some of those words? You notice how they're
Yeah.
capitalizing those words?
Yeah. That it is best all around if it is handled quickly, efficiently, and with less expense as possible.
Yeah, at a court.
Hell no, they will drag it out as long as they can to make you run out of money.
No, they'll probably give you an option out of court, but if you don't take that, you're going to pay.
You're going to pay. You're going to pay. They'll probably settle. Disney does this all the time. They just, if you ever hear like any problems with like somebody suing Disney or getting mad at Disney,
they get so much money they'll easily settle.
They got fuck off money. This means you have to come to our court where we are buddies with the judges. Yeah, take a good note is that you have to come to Washington, not the big business. Got to come to you.
Yeah, where we probably own the judge that's who's suing you.
Yeah, he walks in wearing a My Little Pony robe with a Transformer gavel. He looks like Mr. Potato Head. One, content covered and not. Dungeons and Dragons involves several different categories of content created by the creator, the you, and by Wizards of the Coast, and its parents, affiliates, suppliers, and distributors, us or we. Here are the different kinds of content and how they relate to the license. All right, here we go. We're getting into the good stuff here. All right, content covered. Usable D&D content. It's just the I dot. Okay. Usable D&D content, licensed content. This is Dungeons and Dragons contained that is included in SRD version 5.1, including basic game mechanics and a curated selection of classes, monsters, spells, and items that allow you to make content compatible with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So that's pretty much anything that's like, your basic
homebrew shit.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's talking about like any homebrew shit that could make money. Like we own it.
Well, for this, it's like all the things that you, the licensed content. That's just the SRD. This, anybody who's made anything for like sell on DM's Guild or anything, they're probably familiar with the SRD. It's just the things that you're allowed to include in the book that isn't your own creation, that comes from the games. So things like goblins, kobolds, orcs, dragons, mythological creatures that they can't actually trademark or in the SRD, but things like mind flayers, beholders, Yuan-Ti, they're not in the SRD. You can't use them in your products without special commit, without paying a license fee. And that's how that's been for a while. So the unlicensed content. This is Dungeons and Dragons content that has been or later will be produced as official. That is released by Wizards of the Coast or any of its predecessors or successors. It's important that they put that bit in there because the rumor's been for a while that Hasbro was going to sell Wizards of the Coast. That's been a thing for a long time now.
Yeah, I think they're upset because nobody's willing to buy it off of Hasbro.
Nobody wants to buy it off. Tencent was interested, but I think Tencent went under recently. So this segment reminds me of the time when Games Workshop was suing everyone that used the term Space Marine. Yeah. I mean, what do you call a Marine in space? He's a planet soldier. Galactic Navy. It is not present in the SRD version 5.1. Unlicensed content includes things like the most famous Dungeons and Dragons monsters, characters, magic spells, and things related to various settings used in Dungeons & Dragons official content over the years. What the old open game license refers to as product identity. Unlicensed content is not covered by this agreement, and you agree not to use unlicensed content unless you use is specifically authorized by a separate agreement with us. If you want to include that content in your work, you must go through the Dungeon Masters Guild or other official channels.
If you want to run D&D, you have to jump through all these hoops.
Yep. Monsters like orcs. That's right. You can't call them monsters anymore because orcs are people. Jesus. That will never stop being dumb. Your content. These are the characters, classes, settings, spells, items, new rules, and other creations that you have crafted. You are your original contributions to the works that you want to sell. There are a number of spelling and grammar errors in this, I've noticed.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if it's a draft.
Must be a draft. Because there's no way this can be a legal document with all these spelling errors.
Yeah, it's probably that this is the draft that got a hold of, because it's got comments and FAQs in it and stuff. And that's not usual for legal documents, I don't think.
And they don't usually have, and they would never have links inside they would have it all spelled out.
Something like that. I believe, I know that.
Or it would say to go to a certain page.
Is go to a certain page of this or such. Now, I know legal documents can get messy, especially over the older they get and changes are being made. But this is supposed to be brand freaking new. I don't know. It just seems like it's made to be confusing. This license permits you to combine your content with the licensed content and commercially distribute the resulting works. This license only applies to materials you create for use in or as role-playing games and as game supplements, and only as printed media and static electronic files such as EPUBs or PDFs. It does not allow the distribution in any other form of media. It does not apply to creations of anything else. All right, so we got a comment section now. To be clear, OGL non-commercial only allows for creation of role-playing games and supplements in printed media and static electronic file formats. This does not allow for anything else, including but not limited to things like videos, virtual tabletops, or VTT campaigns. Thank God. So JC's not going anywhere. Computer games, novels, apps, graphic novels, music, song, dances, and pantomimes.
On my D&D puppet show.
Another D&D themed puppet show, which I think there actually is one. So
wouldn't be surprised.
Wouldn't be surprised. It's a weird era we're living in. But all those darn D&D themed mimes, they're going to be out on a job. You may engage in these activities only to the extent allowed under the Wizards of the Coast fan content policy or separately agreed between you and us. So what's this mean? Are you not allowed to make videos about like how to play D&D rules and monetize it on YouTube? Are you not allowed to do a stage show or have like a lecture or something where you bring up your D&D games? Like, because the fan content stuff you're not supposed to get paid for. What if you do Renaissance and you market your arts and crafts and stuff as like D&D dice towers? Because I see that all the time at Renaissance fairs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like what about Ren fairs in general?
Oh yeah, what about Ren fairs? Well, that would be LARP. There's no way Hasbro would be able to take down Ren fairs because There is just too much separation from D&D.
I do know certain red fairs do sell D&D shit.
Wizards of the Coast isn't going to have any more fans that make said fan content now. No. Still, if you get $1, you get screwed as far as I understand. Yeah, so I guess don't sell anything for more than 99 cents. Licensed work for work to be licensed worked under this OGL. For work to be a licensed worked under this OGL, non-commercial, it must meet all 4 of the following. It qualifies as a covered works defined by Section 1B. It contains both licensed content and your content. It does not contain unlicensed content, and it contains the text of this OGL non-commercial within the body of the work. And nothing really all that special there. All right. Section 2. License. If and only if you fully comply to these terms and conditions of this agreement, you may copy, use, modify, and distribute licensed content around the world as part of licensed works on a non-commercial basis, meaning for free, not in exchange for money or anything of value.
How the hell are they going to monitor that?
Yeah, how? I mean, bootlegs are bad enough as it is.
There's no way they can monitor that.
I mean, and there's also the easy go around is say it's not for D&D. You could just say, put up a sign that said, this is not to be used in D&D.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Big brain strategy. Sell individual pieces like a puzzle for 99 cents each. Kruger's Hideout has it all thought out, guys. He's got it down. D&D is now renamed License and Lawyers. Section A, we may offer others the ability to use licensed content or unlicensed content under any conditions we choose. Section B, you may not transfer your rights and duties under this agreement under any circumstances for any reason. This license is not a sub-licensable, meaning you don't have the authority to give this license to somebody else. Commons, as we said in the intro, commercial distribution is any distribution you get paid for in any form. Money, crypto, barter, your brother doing your chores for a week, whatever.
Okay, again, how are they going to monitor that?
Exactly. How are you going to monitor a barter system? Your brother doing your chores.
You sell something for if your brother does your chores. I'm telling Wizards.
I'm telling Wizards, your brother doing chores for a week. Why is this in here? It's such a weird.
Yeah, there's no way they'll ever be able to monitor, know about that. Like,
you are not allowed to sell D&D products under the guise of slavery. It does not include donations people give you to support your work as long as they can have access to your work for free if they choose to. And you inform them that in a clear and obvious way. I mean, technically, you can have anything for free if you're fast enough.
Now, people have been pirating D&D stuff for years.
Oh my god, absolutely not. It's not like the only way to get a hold of some of those old second edition books. It's not like they're... sorry, Bobby, we saw what you did there. Our lawyers will be in touch.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining them having agents in India to hunt down any bartering. God. Ownership. You agree that we own copyright, trademark, and parent rights, if any, to the licensed content and the unlicensed content. We reserve all rights not expressly given to you through this agreement.
So you're basically selling your stuff to wizards with no payment, and they can basically do what they want with said licensing.
Yes. You agree to include any copyright or other rights notice included within the licensed content in your licensed works, and you may not impose any additional, different, or inconsistent terms or conditions with respect to the licensed content in any license you grant in any licensed work. Good Lord, that's a word salad.
So basically, they could take like the JC and stuff like that. They can make books out of it. They can make movies out of it and stuff like that. And we get you get jack squat, and they can make all that money off of it.
Pretty much, if I agree to the terms, which I don't. If this actually does go through, and we're still playing the JC campaign, we're switching to Castles and Crusaders.
Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Yeah, we're jumping ship.
Get it?
Yeah, get it, because it's a pirate game. I just feel bad because I use so much Ghost of Saltmarsh stuff in that. Identifications of licensed content. You must identify your licensed work, which content is licensed content, and which content is your content. You must identify in your licensed work which content is licensed content and which content is your content. There we go. In a way that allows a reader of your licensed work to understand the distinction without checking any other document. However, they got us jumping around between 3 different web pages.
Yeah. They're basically making it not only are they taking all your work and owning it, they're making you do all the copyright work too.
Oh yeah.
And then if you do any of it wrong, they're suing your ass.
Comments. You can identify content in any manner you want to, whether that's using a different font for licensed content than for your content, or putting an asterisk next to the licensed content and telling readers those distinctions mean. Citing to the SRD wherever your licensed content, like Dragonborn SRD page 5, or putting a separate index or list in the back of your licensed work that lists out what exactly you used from the SRD. Good Lord. This is a run-on sentence. Or something else we haven't thought of, but you did.
There's no way that's legal. There's no other. I would put money on that. That's not legal.
What is this wording? Did a 5-year-old come up with this?
There's no way that could be legally binding. There's not a chance in hell.
Why is it so snarky? I mean, like Wizards of the Coast. I mean, like even in like things like the OGL, it had some funny bits. Like if you don't agree to it, we released a Demogorgon on you. But this feels like, but they were being sarcastic and all of that. This feels like it's I'm smarter than you sort of deal. These comments are weird. I don't know why these comments are in here like this. I think it's just to pad it out and make people even more confused. Because they could even go like the comments section isn't actually part of the legal document. How you do that is entirely up to you. If your readers can tell what's what, we're satisfied. But it's not enough to simply include a statement that your licensed work includes licensed content, what used to be called open game content. If the only way a reader can distinguish what you created from what we did is check your licensed work against the SRD, you are not in compliance with this provision. So this is all new. As long as you didn't use anything that was outside the SRD in D&D, you were fine originally. Where's the D&D references? This is just legal stuff and snark. Yeah, it really is just snark. Like I said, this is like a big old thing of we're smarter than you. We're
smarter. Yeah, just a video of a ripping a very shitty worded legal document.
And if you don't like it, then you're a meanie poo-poo head.
Yeah.
It's essentially what it feels like. Hey, Sarper. Hello, Crow. Hey, Amish.
Hey,
Yeah. This feels like the type of document I would write up if I needed to actually put Blue and Erie under a contract for the work they're doing for my comics.
And with no knowledge of legal proceedings.
Uh-huh. But a lawyer wrote this. I assume a lawyer who's used to working with contracts. Hopefully. I don't know. This sounds like a child trying to be a lawyer. It really does.
Yeah.
Who wrote this? Disney Plus She-Hulk?
Definitely somebody who had definitely not a lawyer, but I forget what they're called, the underlings of the lawyers. Wrote this up.
Yeah, the interns and stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, they're studying law and they wouldn't.
Maybe somebody in their first year or something. I don't know. This definitely seems like somebody who just got into law.
And probably not even in law yet. It's a high school student thinking about going into law.
Probably.
Yeah. They passed their bar at the bar. It was the wrong bar. This is the share alike. We are letting you use licensed content for free because you are using it on a non-commercial bias. If you want to better protect your ownership, you must register under the OGL commercial. You agree that others can do the same with your work. This means each time you distribute or otherwise make your work available, you offer the recipient a license to work on the same terms and conditions granted you under these licenses. You may not impose upon others any terms that alter, restrict, or otherwise challenge the terms of this license on the recipient's exercise of the other rights granted under this license. You must distribute a copy of license alongside your work. For clarity, the license should probably appear either at the front or back of your book, but it must be in the book. Normally that would be fine, but we're talking about this. Usually all the third-party books, they have like a section that's like legal.
Sticking it on a pamphlet inside the book. What, it's in the book?
It's in the book. Whether or not they take it out is another issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, hey, I did it according to the rules.
Oh, wait, we can't do that. They have the thing in there is like, or anything else we didn't think of.
Yeah.
Like, darn, they got us.
Yeah.
We got a legal proof shield. Oh, God. Now we're on page 5. We're almost halfway there, guys. The version of the license you enclose with your work must be this license. You must keep intact all notices that refer to it, and you must keep this disclaimer of warranties. It's 15 pages long.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Oh my God. It's going to, oh, heaven forbid you only have like a 20-page pamphlet. It's going to be half your fucking book. Printing's expensive. I mean, if Red Scroll comes out at like about the 32 pages that I'm planning it to be right now, maybe a little bit less, it's going to be over $200 to get 100 of them printed.
So what you got to do is do like do it in really small print on like the last page, and like get all 15 pages on one page. Like, hey, it's there.
It's there. They didn't get the tier that allows them to get the magnifying glass that features the characters. Oh, Amish, were you in that game that was very short-lived where you guys went to the Mechanus?
Mechanus?
Yeah, you guys went to the plane of law in D&D in one of my games.
I don't think I was there.
I don't remember if you were in that game or not, but I remember very distinctly that characters had to get registered because they went in through the front gate. And of course, that was a whole proceeding of them having their fingerprints taken, eye color taken down, having to fill out an essay, all these different things. Then they were given a book that I had said was Rules of Mechanics, Travel Edition, Volume 1. And it came out on a dolly, and there were 15 of them. This feels just like that. And I did that as a joke.
I definitely don't think I was there for that one because that doesn't sound familiar.
No. Oh God, it must have just been Curb then. Curb and Hexel, not Hexel. Yeah, Hexel. God, the hexes get me confused at times. The TLDR. Don't play D&D anymore. Pretty much. Donations. Oh, goody. They're going to qualify what is and is not a donation, I bet. Your distribution of your work must be non-commercial. This means that you cannot require that anyone give you anything of value in exchange for your work or copies for your work. However, you are permitted to accept donations through Patreon, Ko-Fi, or other similar platforms, provided that the donations are not a condition of the receipt of your work. And you make that clear and obvious to your donors. God, that's going to be awful because if given the choice, if people don't have to pay, they probably will not pay or just pay what they want. There's going to be a lot of people who don't do that, but there's going to be people who aren't even aware this is going down and just think, oh, cool, free stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, it makes it unsurvivable. It makes it unlivable to stay on that. Unless you're doing it for a hobby, you can't. You can't just do a tip thing. In other words, you make your work available for free and ask others to contribute what they like to you so you can continue to do so? Okay. In other words, if you make your work available to free and ask others to contribute what they like to you so that they can do... It's weird. It doesn't start as a question, but it ends as a question. Good Lord. You're fine. No, we're not. But if any of your work is available only to subscribers, Patreons, or other work for people who give you money for access to it, then your non-free work is subject to the OGL. OGL commercial, and all that income is revenue under that license. Warranties and disclaimers. You represent and warrant that you are over the age of 18, or if younger, you had your parent or guardian review these terms and agree to them on your behalf.
That's a legal problem waiting to happen.
That's illegal. Just don't allow minors to do it. Oh my God. First off, the parents are going to even look at that and it's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, see, if it's something that's 15 pages, yeah, they're not going to read all that.
People don't read the terms and conditions on websites they sign up for.
Very true.
Have you seen like the Instagram's terms and conditions list? It was like they made it out into this one scroll that goes down a wall and it like hits the floor and goes halfway across the floor.
It's insanity.
Yep. You have power, the authority, and the right to enter into this agreement and perform the obligations it asks of you. Pretty much, you're mentally capable of entering this. Josh Garner hits it right. If you are older than 18 or younger than 18 with parents' permission, pretty much. If we require additional paperwork or documentation from you in connection with a licensed work, you will provide it to us as soon as possible. Oh my God, it keeps going. If you comply with any other requirements we have related to this agreement, such as registration or creating an account with us, your licensed work do not and will not infringe upon any third party's intellectual property rights or any of our rights not to license to you via this agreement or any other.
Again, there's so much third-party stuff out there. How are you going to make sure you're not infringing?
Yeah. This is why book titles can't be copyrighted. There's too many books to keep track of it. This is why names are not copyrighted. You can name your character Superman so long as he doesn't wear blue, has a red cape, has the S on his chest. It's why these designs are copyrighted. Designs are infinite and they can be tracked. Names cannot. Now, you're probably better off not trying to name your character Superman. Obviously. You will not state, suggest, or imply that your licensed works are endorsed by or associated with us, except that you must include this text of the OGL non-commercial within the body of work that indicates your licensed works are compliant with this agreement. All right. Oh, God, it keeps going. All right, there's the end. You will not violate the law in any way relating to this alignment or your licensed work. You have violated the law. Super dude. Yeah, exactly. You will not use the content or works covered by Section 1 of any harmful, discriminatory, illegal, obscene, or harassing purposes. I suppose. You will not do anything that could harm our reputation. Oh, trust me, this has already done enough.
They don't need our help.
You don't need our help for that. You've done that plenty enough on your own. That are Dungeons and Dragons, or the reputation of the licensed content or unlicensed content. For the purpose of clarity, this provision does not apply to criticism of Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons, or licensed content or unlicensed content that does not independently violate these provisions, as if you would actually let them go through because of the registration process. All right, off to do his thing. Have fun with your stream, Hex. We'll probably be catching it here after we're done. Oh, God. You're allowed to criticize Wizards of the Coast in your product, but that doesn't mean they have to allow it to go through.
Go ahead and mock us all you want. It doesn't say we have to take it.
You will not attempt to circumvent or go around this agreement in any way.
Sure, no, I would never dream of going
No,
around
of course
this.
not. No, we never would do that, would we?
Yeah, weak nudge.
What was that meme you posted up in my Discord? Them trying to enforce this law as if they have not spent years teaching me how to be a pirate.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. Termination. The agreement may be modified or terminate. This agreement may be modified or terminated. I just love that. Just that statement alone right there. Modification. This agreement is, along with the OGL commercial, an update to the previous available OGL, which is no longer authorized license agreement. Now, this is where a lot of the big troubles start coming in. I know, right? They were not in the big troubles yet. Because the previous OGL actually says this license cannot be voided by any means necessary.
Yeah.
They
were careful about making sure that nothing like this would ever happen.
Yeah. So it's going to be weird. This is going to be a nasty legal battle. This is going to go on for years if this even attempts to go through. We can modify or terminate this agreement for any reason whatsoever, provided we give 30 days notice. That's the other big thing. Now, this is the line that got everybody really upset.
And they can shut you down for no reason. They don't have to give you a reason. Well, all they have to do is give you 30 days.
All they have to do is give you 30 days, which 30 days a month sounds like a long time. It's not.
And again, they don't have to give you a reason.
They don't have to give a reason. It could be any reason. It's because they feel like it. Literally, they could put down because it rained on Tuesday. Because my mother told me to.
It's not like a normal contract where they have to give justifiable reason. This literally says they can give whatever reason they want.
Yeah. Now, in order to avoid legal disputes, they probably will give an attempted legal reason, but they don't have to.
It says right there, they're under no obligation to give.
Yep. Outside of giving you a 30 days notice, that's the only thing they're required to do. We will provide notice of any such changes by posting the revisions on our website and making public announcements of the changes through our social media channels. Oh my God. Does that actually mean they don't need to contact you?
That's what that's what I'm getting from it. Like they don't really have to talk to you directly.
Yeah. They could just put it on their website and it's like, hey, we're canceling Tim's book. We no longer endorse it. Tim's fucked. Especially if Tim doesn't have like the resources or the capability of checking every day.
Yeah.
Because the information like that can get lost easily. With contracts like this, I question why contracts even exist. This is the worst contract I've ever seen.
I can't wait to see the actual version of it because
this is obviously a draft.
Because this is a lawyer's nightmare or dream, depending on whose side it is. Like if it's the way it is now, this is gonna be
Yeah, this is why I'm sticking to my prediction that this was leaked on purpose. I really do believe that they're testing the water to see how people react to this.
Hopefully they see all the negativity and they're like, okay, we're sorry.
All parties in this agreement will be terminated. Everyone who wrote this agreement will be terminated. Wrong termination. Termination I. We may terminate the agreement immediately if you infringe upon or misuse any of our intellectual properties, violate any law in relation to your activities under this agreement, or if we determine in our sole discretion that you have violated section what is that? That's 5, 6, 7, 8, section 8,
8H.
8G or 8H. But up here, you just said you don't have to have a reason. So now you're saying that these would be the reasons why? To be clear, we have sole right to dedicate what contact violates section 8G or section 8H.
Once again, they're doubling down on...
They're doubling down. It's a reinforcement of that. It's like we determine what actually is a violation. You don't get a choice in the matter. You might think you aren't, but you are. You are in violation because we said so. In your content and determine what context the violation, blah, 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 and you convenient and agree that you will not consist of any such determination via any suit or other legal action. Oh my God, you literally don't have to say.
Yeah, so basically, if you sign this, you cannot sue them, essentially.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to sue us. That means they can pull you into court. You have to show up in a Washington courtroom just for them to say you're not allowed to do this stuff anymore. And then you have to go home.
Yeah, because you can't win because you literally cannot sue them.
Wizards of the Coast is acting very odd with this one. If I learned anything from D&D, it was never to sign a fake contract.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And with last weekend's game, the moment Nick said hair, everybody went, no, don't give the hag hair. Do not give the hag hair. I love that. That was the best response I ever got. Would you like some hair? To the extent necessary and allowed by the law, you waive any duty of good faith and fair dealing we would otherwise have in making such determination. So you automatically just agree.
And you have no say in the matter when they kick you out.
It's almost like signing to be a slave. Good Lord. You breach any other terms or condition in this agreement, that breach is not cured within 30 days of our providing you notice of the breach by communicating with you as provided in Section 8A. You bring an action challenging our ownership of the licensed content, unlicensed content, or any patent or trademark owned by Wizards of the Coast. But by signing this agreement, you're signing all your stuff over to them, so they own it.
And they can make a profit on it. And so basically, from that little earlier about the money and stuff like that, they could basically not pay you because you don't own the license anymore. And they can do it legally with this document.
Oh, I love this bit. You may terminate this agreement at any time by 1, ceasing all distribution for your licensed works, and 2, providing us with written notice. So you have to actually write them. But they can notify, they don't say how they have to notify you.
Yeah.
By essentially, they could actually write, send out a carrier pigeon if they wanted to notify you.
Yeah. They could set up smoke signals if they wanted to.
Smoke signals. We let you know. Did you not see the smoke signals? No, of course I didn't see the smoke signals. I live in London. Comments. Oh boy, oh God. We know this may come off as strong, but this is important. If you attempt to use the OGL as a basis to release blatantly racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, bigoted, or otherwise discriminatory content, or do anything we think triggers these provisions, so they get to determine what's actually all these buzzwords. Listen, if they sent me a carrier pigeon with the news, I wouldn't be as mad. I get a free friend. Wolf wants a pet. A translation, yeah, no fun allowed. It's literally what this is. This is no fun allowed. Your content is no longer licensed. To be clear, we want to and will always support creators who are using the OGL to help them explore sensitive subjects in a positive manner. X'd out. But we will not tolerate materials we consider to be in any way counter to the spirit of D&D. For about 3 or 4 years now, we've been having a big-ass argument about whether or not orcs are a representation of Black people.
Yep, that's been an ongoing thing for a long time.
The obvious answer is they're not, but Wizards of the Coast has clearly cited on the case that they are, and that, in fact, all monsters are a representation of real-world people. Good Lord. So who knows what they will actually consider as racist, sexist, homophobic, buzzword. Additionally, you waive any right to sue over our discretion on these issues. So you can't sue them over them being, they can be just as racist, sexist, homophobic as they want, essentially. That's essentially what that tells me.
Once again, doubling down, saying that you can't sue.
You can't sue. This is popping up over and over again. This is like the 3rd or 4th time this popped up that it says you are not allowed to sue.
At least this is for a separate issue altogether, but all that crap.
We are aware that if we somehow stretch our decision of what is and is not objectionable under these circumstances, under this clause too far, we will receive community pushback and bad PR.
Too late.
Too late. And we're more than open to being convinced that we've made a wrong decision. No, you
Well,
are not.
I mean, this has been going on for how many days now, and have they've made no notice yet? They made no announcement yet.
Let's see, how long has this been going on? This like got leaked what, Friday? So we're about 2 days away from a full week that this has been going on.
And the deadline is 2 days. In 2 days.
Is in 2 days, according to this, which I'm willing to bet that on the 13th, at the very least, they're going to roll this back and say, we're not going to go forward with this. We're going to write up a new one. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I would not be surprised if that is. If they double down on this, I am going to be in a state.
If they double down and they are going forward with it, it will be the death of D&D.
It will be the death of the community. I know a lot of people are saying that there are more people who aren't even aware of the whole online stuff. They'll become aware. Or they're also the type of people who probably don't buy product on the regular.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But nobody gets to use the threat of a lawsuit as part of the attempt to convince us. That's happening, actually.
Oh, yeah. So there's multiple people already getting lawyers in contact with this thing.
Oh, yeah. And guess what? They haven't signed this contract.
Yeah. Well,
so this contract holds nothing.
Because this is people who are under the agreement of the 1.0.
D upon termination. I don't know what this D's here for. It's another spelling error. The D stands for word dick. Like this cat is trying to knock stuff off this table back here. You don't get fed yet. You still have an hour. D upon D's nuts. Yeah. Good Lord. Even Critical Role said F it and started their own thing. Is that actually happening right now? Because the last I heard is that Critical Role may have their own special.
I mean, they got their Amazon thing, they got their show going on, but I mean, as far as their like I know on Reddit, they basically have blocked any talk about the open game license.
I know that's the D&D subreddit that just does it, which of course the mods are probably in Wizards of the Coast pocket. That's usually how that goes.
As far as I'm aware, Critical Role has made no official statement as far as the open game license 1.1.
It could be that Critical. I know a lot of people are getting mad at Critical Role for not making an official statement, but their lawyers are probably telling them not to say anything on this yet. And wait to see what happens.
There are others who have already like lawyered up and stuff like that. Like
Cobalt Press has already announced they're making their own system at this point. Which, I mean, like this could kill Cobalt Press.
Yeah.
I know people. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because like you said, Cobalt Press, who like one of the biggest third-party backers of D&D, who's now going out and making their own system. You've got Matt Colville, who is in the process of releasing he's been working on for a long time. That was already like mid-print for 5e, who's now reaching out and talking to lawyers about because it still falls under the 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
And many other these main companies who are a lot of who are getting lawyers, including one I saw, and I had to make sure I got this one. The Lord of the Rings role-playing 5e.
Oh, so the Token Estate is suing.
Yeah, the Token Estate. You think they're going to take that line down? Oh, hell no. They are suing.
And here's the thing. The Token Estate right now is currently backed by both Warner Brothers and Amazon.
Yeah, so if they don't back down, this is millions of dollars they're going to be losing on their ass.
Yeah. Disney probably has their own special contract. I'm surprised that the Token Estate doesn't have its own special contract because that's one of those companies that you'd think they would have reached to first before all this went out to try to work. They apparently reached out to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So this tells me they really are just doing this to fuck with the little guy.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, this is literally what is happening. They're just doing this to all the little people, like little small teams of like 10 people who made hundreds of thousands. Embracer Group is apparently also backing the Token Estate, who owns a lot of the media rights. This is going to be interesting to see how this goes down.
I mean, they're gonna have no choice but to back down. Hasbro has to back down. Now, they cannot take on all these major companies.
They got
And
all the little class action lawsuits. They got the big companies starting to get involved. They lost Cobalt Press, which was like their biggest fanboy.
yeah, like they're like like I said, they're the biggest third party company out there making stuff for them, and now they've jumped ship.
They jumped ship. Cobalt Press was so big for D&D, they wrote the first adventure for 5th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of people saying that this is going to kill Paizo.
No.
I don't think Paizo has a lot to worry about, to be honest.
They're fine. The Pathfinder is going to be fine.
Pathfinder is going to be... I don't know. Paizo's in a lot of trouble right now on its own things because apparently Pathfinder is not making a lot of money. That's, of course, I hear everything on both ends, and it sounds like a lot of my information on that is coming from people who are on two separate sides of that spectrum of we hate it or we love it. So it's like I don't have an unbiased opinion on this so to go off of.
Furthermore, Pathfinder's not going anywhere anytime soon.
I don't think Pathfinder's going anywhere, but they're definitely trying to keep a Paizo thing from happening again. That's absolutely trying to happen. So we got Snorks, Gelfs, Dwarfs, Quarterlings, Hoonins. What else? Where the hell were we? Oh yeah, right here. Termination. Upon termination to disagreement by Wizards of the Coast, you will cease all sales and distribution of your licensed works. Your obligation to pay royalties survives the termination of the agreement. You still gotta pay them.
Yeah.
So do the following provisions. Section 3, Section 5, 7, and Section 9 through 11.
9 through 11, yeah.
All right. If you get in legal trouble or get us in legal trouble, here's what will happen. That is a threat.
Yeah. Yeah, here's what will happen. That is a blatant threat.
That is an absolute threat. Can't get out from underneath the desk because I know you like to chew cords. Don't rub up against my leg like you're cute. Oh, don't forget the gorks. Oh, God. You know,
kobolds.
You know, when I started doing streaming, started bringing streaming back up this year, I never guessed in a million years that the most popular stream I would have in a long time would be reading a legal document. We got about 10 people in the chat right now, and that's as busy as it's been in a long time.
Well, this is, I mean, there's a reason because this is a hot button issue.
This is a hot button issue. People care about this. And I haven't seen anybody read it out just word for word yet. There's probably been legal sites that have, so. Jesus. All right. If we are on the receiving end of any legal crimes, fees, expenses, or penalties related to your licensed works, you're responsible for paying all our costs.
Oh, good Lord.
Including attorney fees, cost of court, and any judgments or settlements.
So basically, you're going to lose your ass, essentially.
God. Oh, I need a drink. Holy shit. Oh, that could be, because it's Hasbro, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It might be the kind of people who might intentionally rack the bill up.
Yeah, Hasbro absolutely would rack the bill up if they think you're a problem, just so they sink you. I love how the chat is making us our own company. We're apparently Gizzards of the Ghost now. Orcs. Just every single one of our monsters is a different type of orc. I love it. We got the goblins. We got the morks. I love it. Oh, don't forget the dorks. Cat, tag along. Stop being a bad girl. Out from under the desk. because you're a cord chewer. Get flankies. Jesus. Sorry about that. The only way to make my cat get out from under the desk sometimes is to shake a thing of coins. I'm pretty sure nobody wants to hear that. If a claim is raised against you in connection with a licensed work, you aren't defending such a claim to our satisfaction. We have the right, but not the obligation, to take over the defenses of that claim against you. Holy shit.
So if you're already getting sued by one company, they can jump in and join in the lawsuit.
Oh my God. It's to their satisfaction. That might mean you might be actually doing things right. And they're like, nah, you're not trying to win. It's like, we're just trying to settle this thing out so that way everybody's happy. No, you're not winning. And then they can sink you. Hell, you could actually be winning and they don't want you to win. So they replace all your lawyers and kick you out of the case. Because read this next line here. If we do so, you will reimburse us for our costs and expenses related to that defense. They could just come in and replace your lawyers for you.
They could potentially, I don't know, it's against for the licensed work. I was going to say they could probably do it for anything they wanted to. The
licensed work, yeah. We may, at our discretion, seek to intervene in a case brought against you in order to join in the defense of the claims while leaving you and your counsel in charge of your own defense. Yeah, so they could just bring in a whole bunch of people and make a whole bunch of things go on, and you have to pay all these expenses. If we do so, we will defend at our own expense and cost. Oh, thank God. So it doesn't seem like they'll just storm on in. Hopefully. I don't know. They probably will. As for our IPs, that's our to defend. You don't have any obligation to defend Dungeons & Dragons IP yourself, and in fact, wouldn't have standing in the legal right to do so. Good, because you ain't getting it. You could play in the Secrets of Salt marshmallows. Good Lord. I love my chat. They're making us our own company just right there. And it's apparently all Gork. Oh, God. We're 7 pages in now. We're just under halfway there. Oh, so this is awful. I hate everything about this. Other products. Sometimes great minds think alike. We can't and won't cancel products out of fear that they'll be seen as similar to licensed works. Therefore, you agree that nothing prohibits us from developing, distributing, selling, or promoting something that is substantially similar to a licensed work. Okay. You own the new and original content you create. Do we? Well, to be fair, Crow, some are making systems and settings of their own. That's true. That is very true. You agreed to give us a non-exclusive, perpetual, irreversible, worldwide, sub-licensable, royalty-free license to use that content for any purpose. Yeah, so do we actually own it? Because it sounds like we don't own it. Yeah, this is just legal banditry. Yeah, this is just robbery with extra steps. I'm sorry, these two lines here conflate. You own the content, but you owe us everything. For clarity, nothing contained in this section impacts your agreement that our licensed content, unlicensed content, and anything else you are not otherwise expressly authorized to use under the terms of this agreement or any other agreement remains our sole property. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Okay, let's take like a company like Critical Role and say they continue to play D&D. Does that mean they get to own their characters still?
Well, they never signed anything under 1.0, so I think there was no contract to sign or anything like that.
It wasn't a contract. If you were just going to publish work, you had to put that in the back there. That's
And again,
all you had to do.
And again, if Wizards and Hasbro does something again, I think if anything, Amazon probably owns the licensing to the characters and stuff like that.
Critical Role has their own company.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. I don't think it's Critical Role Incorporated or anything like that. I think it actually has like an actual official name.
I said like they also like Amazon also has the rights to the characters and stuff like that now because of the show and stuff.
Okay, so this is in old caps. So this is important. You understand and agree that we are providing the permit content, the permitted content as is, and make no representation or warranty of any kind concerning your use of the permitted content, except as expressly stated in this agreement. We disclaim all warranties expressed, implied, statutory, or otherwise. You bear all risk of using permitted content, and such use is solely at your own discretion and risk.
So we take all the profit, you take all the risk.
You get all the risk, we get all the reward.
That's literally what it is. That's the only reason why you're still the owner when you sign these contracts, is so you could be the fall guy when they take all the money.
Yeah. We have no liability to you for any types of damages in connections with your use of the licensed content, including without limit any indirection, consequential, special, punitive, or exemplary damages, so long as our conduct at the issue was not grossly negligent or intentional.
It has to be grossly, so that they have to do go all out of their way to make it. They don't know if whether you even have a chance at getting them.
Yeah. Commons. We're giving you a license, not agreeing to take on potential liability when we do so. To be honest, we're not really sure what we could do while making Dungeons & Dragons content available to you that could ever be so grossly negligent. Sorry. But our lawyers say we need to include that last clause under Washington law, so in it goes. Okay, a lawyer isn't writing this. Good Lord, a lawyer isn't writing this at all.
No, it's clearly somebody who works there is writing this.
Oh my God, who wrote this? Who wrote this?
I imagine it's got to say somewhere.
So I'm not quite sure how it's done, but usually I would assume that probably like the Wizards of the Coast president would be over this or have like a special team made to do this that would probably consist of a law specialist.
You would think.
You would think.
See, I'm starting to think this maybe wasn't meant to see the light of day, at least not yet in this current state. It is it is a lawyer's favorite. Like lawyers would be having a panic attack reading this damn thing.
Oh my God!
How stupid it is.
I mean, that's a possibility. Of course, I still that's a possibility. I still think of that this was leaked on purpose to see the reaction.
Yeah. But this
is clearly not a legal ready document.
There's no way this is legally. But like I said, like many times we've gone over this. There are many things like there's no way this is legally binding.
There's spelling errors. There's grammar errors. There's all this snarky back and forth. It's definitely an entitled person really wrote this. Somebody who thinks they're incredibly smart.
I think they can't legally maintain chores and stuff like that. Something like they have no real way of monitoring.
Like this comment entirely would never have made it into a proper legal document.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. Of course, we do want to disclaim this. We're not legal experts.
Yeah. But
We are working under the assumption that lawyers are competent. We also have to be aware that this was written in Seattle, Washington. So, not exactly a hot space for competent people. This is more of a scare tactic than an actual legal document. I agree with that. I would agree with that.
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Miscellaneous notices. Any notices you send to us must be sent to us via email. We may send notices to you to any email or physical address we can locate for you, including the email address used for your registration with D&D Beyond. I think that's probably what you should use if you're making us make an account. If you register an account on that platform, but you're forcing us to. What do you mean if? All right. Entire agreement and disclaimer of reliance. This agreement governs your use of the licensed content, and unless otherwise stated in this agreement, any prior agreements between us and you are no longer in force. This agreement consists only of the terms expressly included herein, and not any matter not expressly included herein. For purposes of clarity, the introduction preceding the agreement and the comments and expressions accessible through links within this body of the agreement are not a part of this agreement and have no legal force or effect.
Holy lawyer talk. Good Lord.
Good Lord. I thought we were supposed to be simplifying.
That is straight up. That whole thing is 100% lawyer babble.
That is lawyer. You know, I haven't seen a lot of the episodes, but you better call Saul. This sounds like something he would say.
Yeah. Or something he would just put in a contract just to F with somebody.
Yeah. But Your Honor, how can it be manslaughter if the victim was a woman? Your Honor, how can it be a hate crime if my client enjoyed it so much? Good luck, everyone. Not sure if I will be running by the time I return. Probably not. We're going to wrap it up here.
Hi, Blue.
Hi, Blue. Oh, good. Shenanigans. Shenanigans like you've never seen before. Oh, my God, Blue. You're missing out on so much snark.
There's been some snark.
There's been some absolute snark. In acceptance disagreement, you represent the warrant to us that you have relied only on the terms of the agreement and the advice of your own counsel, if any.
Again, in an earlier thing, you're not allowed your own counsel because they can just jump right in.
Jump right in, all sorts of things like that. They said they won't involve themselves in your counsel if you're being sued, but at the same time, they said they will take over the case if they're not satisfied. What is happening? You have not relied on anything that is not expressly part of this agreement. Have you? Good Lord. Updates and or amendments by Wizards of the Coast. It may be necessary for us to update and or amend this agreement in the future, and we reserve the right to do so. If we do, we will provide notice of these updates. I assume within 30 days. You have the right to either proceed under the terms of the updated amendment agreement or follow with the provisions of section 5, 6, 7, 8 for termination. So you either agree or quit. They didn't say they have to notify you within 30 days that they're making changes.
No, they didn't.
I can't help but notice that. They made sure to say that they have to give you 30 days of notice that they're changing things about their specific contract with you. But not if they have to change.
No, that's the 30 days of them firing your ass.
Yeah, pretty much. That's essentially what that sounded like. No waiver of rights. If we fail to exercise any right we have under a disagreement, that failure will not prevent us from exercising that right in the future. If we make an oopsie daisy. All right, we are now over halfway through. We're officially over halfway through. We're on page 8. Assignment. The rights granted to you under this agreement are granted solely to you and may not transfer to those rights to another person or entity unless we give you written permission to do so. You are not allowed to go on the field trip unless you get a written permission from a parent or grown-up. We, in our sole discretion, will determine whether to allow you to transfer the rights granted to you, which they said earlier in the document, you're not allowed to, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's contradictions a lot in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth between pages, a lot of going back and altering certain things on other pages.
A lot of back and forth, a lot of altering. I don't think whatever poor intern they got to write this has ever written a long document like this before. Yes, I see you. You're cute. Severability. In the event that any party of this agreement is to be held, is held to be unenforceable or invalid for any reason, the balance of this agreement will be enforced as if that part is an unforeseeable. Oh God, hold on. Let me restart this again. In the event that any part of this agreement is held to be unenforceable or invalid for any reason, the balance of this agreement will be enforced as if that part which is unenforceable or invalid did not exist. This whole thing is not enforceable. That makes me think that we should do a parody game where we play employees of Gizzards of the Ghost, and our objective is to kill any fans that make fan art. Oh, God. Governing law jurisdiction, class action waiver. This agreement and all matters relating to its interpretation and enforcement will be governed by the laws of the state of Washington, and any disputes arising out of the relationship relating to this agreement will be resolved solely and exclusively through individual legislation. And each party hereto, God, this is a big ass word I don't know. Irrevocably waivers the right to participate in any class, collective, or other joint action which respects such a dispute. It's another thing where you're not allowed to sue us.
Yep. So that's the sixth time in this document.
It's got to be at least 6. I honestly I've lost count, but it's almost like every.
But it seems like every other page they're talking about basically doubling down on you can't sue us.
You can't sue us. It's at least once or twice a page at this point. You consent to the exclusive jurisdiction and venue of the federal and state courts located in King Country, Washington, for the resolution of any dispute arising out of the relationship to this agreement. So this makes it interesting of all the people who are already suing without having signed this. Because they're not bound to that. Are they going to try to push to have it outside of King County, Washington?
I imagine because it's not part of the contract. So yeah, I guess they would have to force they could legally force them to go wherever they want for trial.
Wherever they want. But the agreement is being made in Washington. So that's the most likely place that it would be held.
Or for those who signed the contract.
Yeah, for those who sign a contract, I don't know how exactly they're going to sue, especially for anybody who's looking to sue who's a company like international. Like, is Cobalt Press an American company?
I want to say they are, but I don't quote me on that. Cobalt Press. I want to say they're American.
Yeah.
Does not say.
Hello, Danny Smith. Good to see you. Howdy, all. Hi, Dr. Crow and Amish.
Hello.
I mean, like, I know there's a couple of gaming companies that who make D&D products that are not based in the U.S. and don't want to sign this, and probably are going to get involved in the lawsuits if they go forward.
Oh,
these lawsuits
they're actually in Washington themselves.
Oh boy. Well, that one's pretty much settled. I don't know. There's going to be having like trials just across the country gets messy because both parties have to agree on where they're going to hold the trial to begin with. And that's why it took so long for so many trials to just get started. That's where a lot of the stalling processes probably are at.
Yeah.
Waiver of jury trial. We and you each waiver any rights to a jury trial of any dispute, claim, or cause of action related to or arising out of this agreement.
Again, unless there's something I'm not seeing, like this doesn't qualify a jury trial.
Yeah, they already said you waiver your right to a jury.
Yeah.
This is the second time they said this bit.
like in normal cases of like with money and stuff like that, it's not a jury case.
So what is the Crow going to do with this new OGL is out? What's your prescription, Doc? My prescription is to play a different tabletop other than D&D. There are literally thousands to choose from.
The ones that do not conform to the OGL.
Yeah, does not conform to their OGL, or at least isn't dick to their fans. D&D is just the biggest, largely because it was the first. And even then, War Games beat it by a long shot. I'm sorry, I don't think you can, by contract, waiver your rights to the legal system. Well, usually this type of case wouldn't be taken before a jury anyway. At least from my understanding. Like I said, we're not legal experts.
Yeah. We're just making a mockery out of this.
We're making a mockery. We're giving our commentary. We're giving our thoughts about it. But even then, we're like looking at this like, this is bullshit.
Like, even though we're not legal experts, there's no way this is a legal document. There's no way.
Dungeons, and more dungeons. It's better than D&D.
Yep.
Cleaning term. What's it? I just read this one, so I'm on I. Review by counsel. You agreed that you have reviewed this agreement carefully and had ample opportunity to obtain advice as to its meanings of its terms and agreements contained herein from such advisors, including attorneys, as you deem appropriate or necessary. Oh, yes, we have. Oh, and here we go. We're finally into the OGL 1.1 commercial. 7.5 pages of basically saying you're not allowed to sue us and we own everything you make. That was just the non-commercial stuff.
Yeah.
We're actually getting into the stuff where you're allowed to make money. Let that sink in for a moment. That was just all the stuff where you're allowed to do if you're not wanting to make money. Blue Teddy narrations. Boo! Boo these people. Boo! That guy played Diggity Dungeons and all that. All right. Any commercial use of licensed content defined below is subject to this agreement. By making commercial use of licensed content, you agree to these terms of agreement. This agreement contains your consent to jurisdiction in Washington State in any dispute between you and us, and your agreement that any such disputes will be resolved in individual legislation heard by a judge rather than a jury. If a dispute ever occurs, we hope you agree with us that it is best all around if it's handled quickly, efficiently, with the least expense possible. That's great. We do agree with you on that. Question, do you agree with us? Good Lord. Content covered and not. Dungeons & Dragons involves several different categories of content created by the creator, you, and by Wizards of the Coast, its parents, affiliates, suppliers, and distributors. Here are different kinds of content and how they relate to this license. Content covered. Usable D&D content. This Dungeons & Dragons content is included in the SRD version 5.1, including basic game mechanics, which, if it's to be believed, you're not allowed to copyright game rules anyway. And a curated selection of classes, monsters, spells, and items that allow you to make a content compatible with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. This is non-usable D&D content. This is Dungeons & Dragons content that has been or later will be produced as official. That is released by Wizards of the Coast or any of its predecessors or successors. Same things as before. This is a lot of the same stuff over and over again already. And is not presented in the SRD versions 5.1. Unlicensed content includes things like the most famous Dungeons & Dragons monsters, characters, magic spells, and things relating to various settings used in Dungeons & Dragons official content over the years. What the old game license referred to as product identity. Unlicensed content is not covered by this agreement. And you agree not to use unlicensed content unless your use is specifically authorized by a separate agreement with us. If you want to include content in your work, you must go through the Dungeon Masters Guild or other official channels. These are characters, classes, settings, spells, items, new rules, and other creations that you have crafted. They are your original contributions to the work that you want to sell. This license permits you to combine your content with licensed content and commercially distribute the resulting works. This is works covered. This license only applies to materials you create or use in or as a role-playing games and as game supplements, and only as printed media and static electronic files such as EPUBs or PDFs. It does not allow the distribution of any other form of media and does not apply to the creation of anything else. I can't help but notice this is way different than the first time around, where they went into a long list of other stuff. So I wonder if they're just more worried about actual video and books than anything else. All right, we'll see you later, Proton Stalker. You have a good night. Comments. To be clear, OGL commercial only allows for creation of role-playing games and supplements in printed media and static electronic file formats. It does not allow for anything else, including but not limited to things like video, virtual tabletops, or VTT campaigns, computer games, novels, apps, graphic novels, music, songs, dances, and pantomimes. Okay, there's all that stuff. You may engage in these activities only to the extent allowed under the Wizards of the Coast fan content policy or separately agreed between you and us. License works. For work of licensed works under the OGL commercial, it must meet all four of the following criteria. It qualifies as covered works as defined by Section 1B. IB. It contains both licensed content and your content, but not unlicensed content. It does not contain unlicensed content. You just said that. And it displays the following creator content badge in a manner specific to the creator content badge style guides. Drop in picture. So the picture's to be added later. license if and only if you fully comply to the terms and conditions of this agreement. You may copy, use, modify, and distribute licensed content around the world as part of the licensed works on a commercial basis. We may offer others the ability to use licensed content or unlicensed content under any conditions we choose. You may not transfer your rights and duties under this agreement under any circumstances for any reason. This license is not sub-licensable, meaning you can't give it out. It's a lot of the same stuff over, so we're speeding through this bit. You agree that we own copyright, trademarks, and patent rights, if any, in the licensed content and the unlicensed content. We reserve all rights not expressly given to you through this agreement. You agree to include any copyright or other rights notices including with the licensed content in your licensed work. And you may not impose any additional different or inconsistent terms or conditions with respect to the licensed content in any license you grant any licensed work. God, it's starting to actually sound like, I think a lawyer wrote this part.
Yeah, that's what it's starting to sound like. Like this, so you can definitely tell parts were definitely written by a lawyer or at least copy pasted.
Yeah,
and then some parts that were definitely written.
So far, I think all of this has been copy pasted from the previous section because it sounds like it's a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah,
and a lot of it is actually not terrible. It's like you're not allowed to give out our licenses against our agreements. You're not allowed to use our trademark stuff. If you're going to be working with us, you got to put this logo on your thing. A lot of it is just bog standard stuff. I don't see why it's needed, but it's not imposing. It's not until you get after this bit that you get to see all the awful stuff. Like you're not allowed to sue us. We're allowed to take your copyrights if we feel like it. We can tell you that we no longer approve of your work. It's all that stuff where he starts going crazy. I guarantee we're about to run into something stupid in his comments. I think this is it actually is copy paste. You can identify content in any manner you want to, whether it's using a different font or license. Yeah, this is the exact same thing as before. Where it's like you got to make a clear distinction between licensed content and your content. Here we go. So you remember on the Discord where I said they put a battle pass into a legal document?
I think I see what's about to happen.
Leveling up under this agreement. This agreement covers all commercial uses, whether they're profitable or not. Note that if you appear to have achieved great success, that is consistently meeting or exceeding the expert tier qualification below, from producing OGL commercial content, we may reach out to you for more custom and mutually beneficial licensing agreement. Yeah. Hey, Dr. Crow, have you ever tried Open Legends? It's a system that I've tried out once, and it was a lot of fun, though it has a bit of a learning curve. We'll be looking into our options.
Yeah, plenty of options.
Plenty of options, and it doesn't always have to be fantasy, especially with me trying to pull my way back towards comics a bit.
If we have to, we can do that comic one again, an anime one.
Oh, yeah, the animated thing. So this is the initiate tier. If you have registered at least one licensed work but haven't generated 50,000 or more in total gross revenue. Oh, there it is. It's gross revenue. That's the gross. It's gross revenue.
Yeah, it took all the way down to this page to finally get to that point where it actually says what kind.
Now, to be fair, we are actually in the area where you're making money. The last one is just said you're not allowed to make money. The last one was basically about 5 pages saying you're not allowed to make money. So gross revenue from OGL commercial products in a given year, you are the initial tier. 50,000 is a lot.
Yeah, especially for D&D content.
especially for D&D content. That's about average for the Kickstarter stuff, the really, really good Kickstarter stuff. You have to be one of the really big D&D tabletop personalities to get over that 50,000 mark.
Like Global Press.
Global Press. I would say that I think WebDM has done it.
Yeah,
XP
Coville.
Level 3, RuneSmith. Nerdarchy has done it. Mr. Rex did it with his most recent thing, I believe. Grim Hollow, things like that.
So there's definitely a few out there who've done it.
Yeah. Wow. Wizards of the Coast made leveling up suck. I'm equally impressed and disgusted. So yeah, but the basic box standard big D&D personality is going to be in this tier. Intermediate tier. If your license works has generated more than 50,000 in total revenue in a given year, but less than 75,000, you're in the intermediate tier. Now look at this.
That's a jump.
Total revenue, no longer gross revenue.
Oh, total revenue. Okay, I see.
Yep. Hold on one moment. I'll be right back.
Jeez, that's absurd. Expert tier. If your license work has generated at least 750,000 in total revenue in a given year, so it's like the second one, but instead of total revenue, it's like if you pull that in a given year, you're in the expert tier. Good lord, like going to the top of the top can probably rank that stuff in, like Cobalt, Critical Role, and stuff like that would be expert tier. I don't know who else would be ranked enough for that expert tier. Comments: why the tiers? For one thing, it's Dungeons and Dragons, and even our lawyers play. Yeah, they're playing something, all right. It's possible we're not exactly sure how to design something without some form of leveling up. See, I think they're just pandering on that crap. Like, oh, hey, see, we play D&D too. Look, we're mentioning leveling up and stuff, huh? See? I yelled in the chat doing while we wait for Crow to come back.
I'm sorry about that. It was time to feed the cat.
Yeah, it's fine. I just kind of like went over the expert tier and the top comments.
All right, so let's see here. So more than 50,000, but less than 75. Or total revenue in a given year, you are at the expert tier, which that's a big company right there. That would be companies like Cobalt Press.
In Critical Role and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a corporation making that sort of money.
Yeah.
That's an established. That's not some mom and pop shop.
Oh, 750,000 a year, yeah.
Yeah, not to be granted, this amount of money, in terms of business, it's not a lot. It really isn't.
In the realm of D&D, it's a lot.
For the world of D&D, probably, but for to Hasbro, that's nothing.
Wait, to Hasbro, that's nothing.
Yeah. Like to us who are say like me, if I made $750,000 on a Red Scroll comic, I would die. I don't know how I would ever have made. Can't ever see myself making that amount of money in a single go. But to like a company like Wizards of the Coast, they probably make that in like a couple of days. They got employees, they got connections. This is enough to have like 2 full-time employees. All right, comments. Why the tiers? For one thing, it's Dungeons and Dragons, and even our lawyers play. Ugh. It's possible we're not actually sure how to design something without some form of leveling up. There's that snark again.
I think that part is just them flat out pandering. Well, see, look, we play D&D too. See, look, we're mentioning leveling up.
Let's do it. $600,000 for All American Red Squirrel. Heck yeah, what's a ARS? All American Red Squirrel. It's the comic I'm producing. The crowdfunder is hopefully going to be up this summer. So stay in contact with the channel if you want to follow on that sort of stuff. Yeah, it does. It reeks of, hey there, fellow kids. It really does. But also, we're trying to minimize the burden on our creators as much as possible. No, you're trying to minimize your creators as much as possible.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Ooh, hold on. I got to take a moment to chill. All right, so All American Red Squirrel. She's in, oh, sorry, I'm so stuck in lawyer mode. Give me just a quick second. It is a superhero comic that is about a girl, the All American Red Squirrel. She is going to be going out on a case where the Liberty Bell has been stolen. And she finds out that it is actually her cousin, the Grand British Grey Squirrel, who's the one who stole it. So when she finds that out, it brings up a whole bunch of the stuff and the questionability of whether or not the All-American Red Squirrel's father was a hero or not, dealing with all sorts of different conflicts of what makes a hero. Do we follow through with the legacy presented to us by family? The themes of family, togetherness, patriotism. Ultimately, the style of story I want to go for is Silver Age style crimes. So monuments being stolen, giant robots attacking, fighting giant monsters, the craziest villains going out in a 90s style of story. So kind of like that, a little bit more Bronze Age style of story where it's a bit more serious. It's not as corny. So her cousin is a supervillain? Yes. Her cousin is British? I know, even worse, isn't it? We're working it out. The script is almost completely finished. I've been saying that a lot, and every time I think I'm done, I look at it and it's like, it could be better though. But I'm finally done. Once I get it all done and edited with this, it's going through. Eerie the Ghost is the artist. We need more giant robots. He gets it. Joshua gets it. Let's see here. I think I have a picture. I probably have a picture somewhere. No, I don't have a picture at the ready. Shit. All right. I was not ready to be shilling right now. So Joshua, I don't have a link to the Discord. Do I have a mod out there in somewhere? And if you could just drop an invite to the Discord. Are any of them actually mods? I don't think I have any mods out there. Let's see here. Amish, you're a mod. I think you're a mod, aren't you?
I don't know.
Take your time. I'm making the comic doc. Haste can cripple a story into making. Patient is key. All right. Wolf needs to be made a mod. That's actually agreeable. And that only pushes you in timeout. Okay. We're doing live maintenance, everybody. I know this is riveting stream right now. Everybody take a break. Yeah, shut up. Nobody wants to hear me. Add moderator. All right. Wise Wolf, you're a mod now. Congratulations. So go ahead and best stream. I know. Thank you. So Wise Wolf, if you could just drop a link to the Discord in chat, so that way we can go look at all my stuff, including Smoke and Mirrors. Where am I? All right, back to the fun thing. As you'll see below, if you're in the initiate tier, all we need for you is some basic information about what you've created and are offering for sale. Once you work your way to the intermediate tier, we'll ask you to provide annual financing report so that we can see whether royalties are due.
It literally is taxes.
And literally, they gotta tax you. Reaching the expert tier means you will pay us royalties on your revenue over $750,000. If you're doing incredibly well, we might level you up to a custom license. Jesus. How are you supposed to get that high? It's microtransactions, but you get nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a battle pass. It really is a battle pass.
But you get no rewards for it.
You get no rewards. We get rewards. You get to pay us. If you do well, we earn money. Registration, no matter what tier you are in or how much money you believe your product will make, you must register with us any new license work you intend to offer for sale. By going to insert detail, filing out the form there, and including a description of the license work. We'll also ask you for your contact information on whether you intend to publish the license work, and its price, among other things. Reporting, as soon as you make $50,000 in gross revenue for any particular year on products covered by the OGL commercial, and they'll know because you're forced to register when you're not making anything. And as it is used in the agreement, revenue means any income you make from selling a work license under the agreement, or from crowdfunding those works, or for any other income source. What do you mean by any other income source? It's questionable. And reach the intermediate tier, you will need to method for reporting income. So this thing got leaked and they don't even really have the method for reporting the income ready.
No, they don't. Which is why like this has to be like a rough draft.
This has to be a rough draft. I still believe that this was leaked on purpose. It's possible that the rough draft was leaked because all the links are actually in the thing. And they don't want people actually putting those URL in and going to check and see what's there. In addition, you will need to provide us with your year-end numbers by February 15th of the next year. It's literally taxes.
Yeah, it's literally making you do taxes.
Royalties, if and only if you are generating a significant amount of money, over $750 per year across all licensed works, from your licensed works, the revenue you make from your licensed works in excess of $750,000 in a single calendar year is considered qualifying revenue. And you are responsible for paying us 20% or 25% of that qualifying revenue, as explained in section
9B2.
9B2. I get confused on Roman numerals.
And again, $750,000. That's a major company.
$50,000? No, that's not a major company.
No, it's almost $750,000.
$750,000. That's a mom and pop store.
Really?
Yeah. Like I said, that's about enough to have 2 employees on your payroll permanently, as well as a couple of freelancers. Like take Erie, who's doing All American Red Squirrel, and Blue, who's doing Smoke and Mirrors. Technically, they're freelance contractors. I'm not, as our quote unquote contracts stand, I could fire them for any reason I want. I wouldn't, because that'd just be a dick move and it would cost me a lot of social cred and bad PR, because Blue absolutely would go ballistic on me. Besides, they're doing good work and I don't want to mess that up. But if you have employees, there's all sorts of like contracts, HR, all that sort of stuff that goes into it. It's not a lot of money for a business, $750,000. It's really not. Blue would strangle you in your sleep. I absolutely agree with that, Wolf. Blue would strangle me in my sleep. Blue scares me when she gets mad. Oh, God. Delayed collection. Through this agreement, it's effective. Though this agreement is effective January 13th, 2023, no royalties will be due on any income earned before January 1st, 2024. No matter how much that income is.
I guess so. Again, this kicks off in 2 days, and they've made no new announcement.
No words about it.
They've been very quiet.
Been very, very quiet, which means they're guilty. I mean, if you wanted anything that proved that this is right, then this is doing it. Kroger's hideout is trying to get me in trouble by making me say that out loud. No, nice try. Nice try, Kroger. We want to give our community a lot of lead time to plan for this. A year is not a lot of lead time.
I mean, when did they announce this? What? When
They didn't announce this. This was leaked on the 4th.
Yeah, exactly. So, so everything this wasn't leaked. They were just going to spring this on us in 2 days.
In 2 days. I believe it was supposed to come out on the 4th, but it wasn't ready. It was leaked. There's a whole bunch about going on about that, and I don't quite remember who leaked it. But Kickstarter said, yeah, we managed to get a discount off that, and that proved that bit, which brings the whole thing into question about why people believed it. And with Wizards of the Coast not saying anything for so long,
yeah, they've been very quiet.
Yeah, all they had to do, everybody would have understood if they didn't say anything over the weekend, because it's the weekend and most people aren't at work then. So if they came back Monday and said, first thing they said on Monday, it's like, this leak is not true. That's all they had to do.
No, they've been very quiet. All they've done is they had D&D Beyond. They're like, we know you're very concerned. We do have an announcement to make, but that's it.
All they said, and they said that like 2 days ago.
Yeah, but they've made no word on what the announcement is.
For clarity, all other requirements of this agreement are in effect from the time you enter into the agreement.
I mean, you have to personally make sure you keep track of all your benefits from the time you sign with them till the 24th, the 2024.
At the initial intermediate tiers, you will pay 0% royalties. So just don't make more than $50,000. That's all you got to do. At the expert tiers, you will pay royalties as follows. If your license worked as crowdfunded or sold via any platform other than Kickstarter, you will pay 25% royalty on qualifying revenue. If your license worked as crowdfunded on Kickstarter, our preferred crowdfunding platform, you only pay a 20% royalty on qualifying revenue.
Oh, wow, the savings.
Oh, wow, the savings, seeing how Kickstarter takes 5%, so you're still paying 25%.
Yeah, exactly.
In actuality, you're paying 30% royalty if you're using Indiegogo, because I believe Indiegogo is also 5%.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. And this is what Kickstarter came out and confirmed. This bit right here.
Oh, yeah. They were under no. They must not have signed an NDA because they were very open about it. Like, oh yeah, that's.
And they said they actually negotiated for this deal. The Kickstarter said they negotiated to get it lowered. Someone didn't do their work right because they came right out. Either that or Kickstarter believed that breaking the NDA was going to cause less damage to them in the long run than sticking with it and all this going through. Probably. Actually, seeing how this is all going through, I'm willing to believe that breaking the NDA and the fine that would come with that would probably have cost them less.
Yeah, probably. But they probably figured they could probably make that back in a couple of months.
Yeah. I mean, that happens all the time. People break things and pay the fine because it's cheaper than actually what the fine was for.
Yeah. I think now the Wizards of the Coast is now on the line for millions of dollars, probably.
Yeah. If you have more than one license work and only some of your license works are funded through Kickstarter, You will pay royalties on your qualifying revenue based on the proportion of your total revenue that was earned through Kickstarter. For example, if you sell 2 licensed work, one which earns $600,000 on Kickstarter, and the other of it is earned $200,000 off Kickstarter, you will have $800,000 of total revenue and $50,000 of qualifying revenue, of which 75% of which came from Kickstarter and 25% did not. So you will pay the royalty at 20% on $37,500 of your qualifying revenue, which is $7,500, and the royalty at 25% remaining $12,500 of the qualifying revenue, which is $3,125.
So you're pretty much paying a crap load of revenues and stuff like that before you even get your money.
And now, any of you here who ever looked at a comic book on backing and said, "Why is it so expensive?" This is why.
Yeah.
That 5% fee. Look at how much difference that 5% just made right there.
Kickstarter gets their share, and then they get their share.
They get their share. Kickstarter gets their share. And then, of course, you got to pay artists, people the person who makes the PDF if you're not doing it, editor, shipping. Good Lord, shipping. Shipping's the worst part. Printer. All the fees that go into all that sort of stuff. It's insane. You'll blow through that money so fast. Royalty payments for a given year are due on or before March 31st of the succeeding year. For example, if $1,000 in royalties are due for 2024, you must pay us that $1,000 before March 31st, 2025. Please pay us on time. If you don't, we reserve the right to charge interest at either 1.5% per month or the maximum amount permitted under applicable law, whichever is lower.
So they the right to basically to charge you fees if you don't pay them on time.
A late fee. Please pay us fully. If you don't, in addition to paying the unpaid royalty of any application or interest for late payment, you will be charged our actual cost of reviewing your records if you're underpaid by 10% or more. Holy shit. You must keep complete or accurate records sufficient to confirm your compliance with this agreement, including the calculations of amount due for a period of 3 years after each royalty period. In other words, if you have renewed revenue from licensed works in 2024, you will need to keep those records through January 1st, 2028. It's literally taxes.
Yeah, this is clearly based off of just normal American taxes.
Yeah. Did they have an IRS agent actually look at this over?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Is it one of those 87,000 they just defunded?
Probably.
Oh, good Lord. No politics. I want to talk about it because it's right there in front of me, but no politics. We don't talk about politics here. If we ask, you will provide us with copies of your records relating to revenue earned from your licensed works, including those records you used to calculate the amounts of royalties due to us, so we can confirm that calculations of those amounts and audit your royalty payments. If any mistakes were made, you agreed to promptly pay us the amount that was paid, plus any interest due. Yeah, seriously, it's like, please give us money. Give us money. Give us money. Give us money. Money. The Mr. Krabs write this.
Money.
Money. Comments. We want to be crystal clear about this. Because crystal clear is what we've been so far.
Yeah.
Royalties are due only on revenue above $750,000. If you make $750,001 on a license works in 2024, you will owe us a grand total of 25 cents. Or 20 cents if you fund the product through Kickstarter. We know this calculation can get more complicated if you have some works funded through Kickstarters and others that aren't, but please don't stress about it. If you have questions about your particular situation, reach out to us at email and we'll work through them together. Now, here's the thing. They're saying this now. But earlier in the documentation, they said that they're allowed to change this document whenever and however they see fit. I'm just saying, this sounds like, oh, we're not going to be that bad. You just don't have to be that successful. We don't object to you crowdfunding for your license work, but we need to address concerns about overreaching and preventing the funding of infringing products. Because of that, this section has very specific requirements. If you are planning on crowdfunding, you must read this whole section carefully and be sure you are fully compliant with it. You may crowdfund it, provided, 1, you only crowdfund the production of licensed work. So no unlicensed works. 2, no infringing materials are given out as perks or rewards. B, the primary product of your campaign must be a licensed work, such as campaign setting. You may have stretch goals that are not licensed works, provided they do not infringe upon our intellectual properties. For example, a dice set with your company's original logo, but not one with ours, is permissible. You may also have stretch goals that would otherwise qualify as licensed works, such as modules and adventures. Those additional modules and adventures do not have to be registered separately with us unless and until you decide to sell them separately from the campaign. C, your entire campaign, including stretch goals, is considered one product for the purpose of the royalty threshold. Oh, that's a part we're not thinking about. It's not off of each thing individually. It's everything you do all together.
The one lump sum.
One lump sum from an entire year. And that confuses me because most crowdfunders, they won't release more than like 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah. Once again, only like the big names do like multiple ones.
Yeah. And they may like take years in between them too.
Yeah.
Your campaign raises 750 and 1 or more. Your royalties on that last dollar because of the product you are crowdfunding exceeds 750 revenue threshold. That said, revenue for any add-on material the backer separately purchased is not considered qualifying revenue, unless the add-on also is a licensed work. Some examples may help make this clearer. Bruno Battleaxe, author of Throwing Blades, a 5e source book, and Blocking Blades, a 5e campaign, made a lot of money on those publications last year. Given how well Throwing Blades did, Brunard decides to crowdfund Blades 2, Electric Boogaloo. He's included miniature replica blades as a stretch goal and has a backer tier that grants access to all stretch goals. The replica blades are not licensed works because they aren't text printed or printable, but all revenue from the backer tier still counts as qualifying revenue. Bruno runs the same campaign and includes the same miniatures, but makes them available as add-ons for separate purchases. Because the miniatures are not licensable works, they are being purchased separately, none of the revenue in those purchases is qualifying revenue. So all the extra stuff that usually gets people to go on, you have to do as add-ons. Let's start a crowdfunder to buy Wizards license work, i.e. the company. with a stretch goal to fire everyone in the company.
Hell, I back that.
I back it too. I want to be an investor. Bruno runs the same campaign, but in addition to the miniature, he also includes their other supplements, throwing blades and blocking blades, as separately purchasable add-ons. Because throwing blades and blocking blades are licensed work, revenue from purchases of them as add-ons is qualifying revenue. Oh, good Lord. This doesn't really clear it up, does it? Bruno runs the same campaign and includes all of the same add-ons, but at this time offers it as a bundle. The miniatures and the supplements for one price. Because the supplements are a licensed work, all that revenue counts as a qualifying revenue. Don't bundle your stuff together. Sell everything as separately as possible if you're going to go through this. Don't go through this. First of all, just don't. To add insult to injury, release D&D to public domain.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Warranties and disclaimer. You represent and warrant that you are 18 years or older, guardian. All right, you are 18 years of age, or if younger, you have your parents' guardian review the terms, blah blah blah. If you're not over the age of 18, I don't think you're allowed to do Kickstarters or sell products. There's labor laws against that sort of stuff. If you have power, the authority, and the right to enter disagreement and platforms perform their obligations asked you, this is the same stuff as before. If we require additional paperwork or document from you in connection to a licensed work, you will provide it to us as soon as possible. If you comply with the other requirements, we have related disagreements, such as registering or creating an account with us. Same thing as thing. Your licensed work to do not and will not infringe on a third party's intellectual property rights or any of our rights not licensed to you via this agreement or any other. You will not state, suggest, or imply your licensed work are endorsed by or associated with us, except that you must apply the creative product badge to indicate that your licensed work is compliant with this agreement. You will not violate the law in any way that relevant to this agreement or your licensed work. Covered by Section 1 for any harmful, discriminatory, illegal, obscene, or harassing purposes. You will not do anything that could harm our reputation, that of Dungeons & Dragons, the reputation of licensed content. Like we said before, you've already done that. This is a lot of the repeat stuff. You will not attempt to circumvent or go around this agreement in any way. The agreement may be modified or terminated. This agreement is, along with the OGL non-commercial, an update to the previous available OGL 1.0A, which is no longer authorized license agreement. That's the big. I think that's something we haven't run into yet. They're trying to claim that this will unauthorize the previous agreement, which the previous agreement says it can't be unauthorized. So this is what the whole thing hinges on, and whether or not which one of those is true. We can modify or terminate this agreement for any reason whatsoever, provided we give 30 days notice. We will provide notice on any such changes by posting the revisions to our website or making public announcements through our social media changes. Termination. We may terminate the agreement immediately if you infringe or misuse our intellectual properties, violate any law in regards to your activities under this agreement, or if we deem in our sole discretion that you have violated sections 8G or 8H. To be clear, we have the sole right to decide what conducts violate sections G or H, and Coven. God, I'm forgetting how to talk. This has gone on for so long.
Yeah.
You really do.
So this all seems like the same stuff we already covered too.
A lot of it is probably the same stuff. We're just digging through it to see if they try to hit anything. So if the agreement is printed and out printed out and in a doorway and you walk around it, is that not permitted? Then you're not allowed to sue or take legal action against them. You waive any duty of good faith and fair dealing we would otherwise have in making such determinations. Same thing as before. You breach any other terms or condition in this agreement, and the breach is not cured within 30 days of our providing you notice of the breach by communication with you as provided in section 15A. If you bring an action challenge or ownership of licensed content, unlicensed content, or parent or trademarks owned by Wizards of the Coast. That one's new. So you're not allowed to say that they stole something. You may terminate this agreement at any time by 1, ceasing all distributions of your licensed work, or by ceasing all sales of your licensed work and making such work available for free under a license with term equivalent to those of the OGL non-commercial, and 2, providing us with written notice. So that's the only way that you may end it. That's the only way you're allowed out of this contract.
You got to write them.
You got to make all your stuff for free and write them. You got to write a note to the teacher. This is the sexist, homophobic buzzword thing again. It's literally just copy paste from before.
Yeah.
Upon termination of this agreement by Wizards of the Coast, you will cease all sales and distributions of your licensed work in exchange for any form of revenue. Your obligation to pay royalties survives the termination of the agreement. So do the following provisions: sections 3, 6, 9, and 10 through 13. Immunity. If you get into legal trouble or get us in legal trouble, here's what will happen. This is new, I think. If we are on the receiving end of any legal claims, fees, expenses, and penalties related to your licensed work, you are responsible for paying all of our costs, including attorney fees, cost courts, and judgments of settlements. Same as before. If a claim is raised against you in connection with the licensed work and you are defended such a claim to our satisfaction, we have the right but not the obligation to take over the defense of that claim against you. If we do so, you will reimburse us for our costs and expenses related to that defense. Same thing as before. We may, at our discretion, seek to interfere in a case brought against you in order to join in the defense of the claims, while leaving you and your counsel in charge of your own defense. Oh! Wait a minute. This means that they could help the person pushing charges against you.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I didn't realize that earlier. Holy shit. Well, that means they could sue you.
They can join in on the lawsuit.
They could join in on the fun and beating you up. Wait a minute. Does that mean that they could sue you and then step in when they aren't happy with your defense?
I think there's a legal thing. I think legally they can't do that.
I think that would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah. So legally they have to choose one of the two sides. They can't be on both sides.
Because that was my immediate thought, is like them jumping in there and racking the prices up and then charging you for everything. Other products. Sometimes great minds think alike. Nothing prohibits us from developing, distributing, selling, or promoting something that is. Nothing prohibits us from developing, distributing, selling, or promoting something that is substantially similar to a licensed work, including yours. You own the new and original content you create, but not the ones we make for your setting. For clarity, nothing contained in this section impacts your agreement on our licensed content, unlicensed content, or anything else not otherwise expressly authorized to use under the terms of agreement of any other agreement remains our sole property. Literally, that means they can make something new for your setting, and then they say they own it, and you can't use it.
Yep, there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do about it. Disclaimer of warrants. You understand and agree that we are providing and permitted content as is. It makes no representation of warranty of any kind, claiming the use of the permitted content except as expressed stated in the agreement. We disclaim all warranties express, implied, saturated, or otherwise. You're at a risk of using permitted content, such as solely at your own discretion and risk. You take the risk, we get the reward. That's all it is. Limitations of liberty. We have no liability to you or any types of damages in connection with your use of the licensed content, including without limitation of any indirect, consequential, special, punitive, exemplary damages, so long as our contact with the issues was not glossing blah 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 blah. We're giving you a license, the same thing. All right, miscellaneous. Notices. Any notices you send to us must be sent to us via email, and not any notices we send to you. And any notices we send to you have to be sent to you via email to the email address you provided when you register project with us and provide under Section 5A. It is your responsibility to update your registration information if your email address changes. Entering agreement and disclaimer of reliance. This agreement governs your use of the licensed content, and unless otherwise stated in this agreement, any prior agreements between us and you are no longer in force. This agreement consists only of the terms expressly included herein, and no matter not expressly included herein. For purposes of clarity, the introduction preceding the agreement and the comments and expressions accessible through links within the body of the agreement are not part of the agreement and have no legal force or effect. We are on the last page, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God, we're finally there. In accepting this agreement, you represent and warrant to us that you have relied only on the terms of the agreement and the advice of your own counsel, if any. You have not relied on anything that is not expressly a part of this agreement. Updates and or amendments by Wizards of the Coast. It may be necessary for us to update an agreement. So this is the same thing as before still. If we fail to excuse any right we have under this agreement, the failure will not prevent us from exercising that right in the future. The rights granted to you under this agreement are granted solely to you and not transferable. In the event that any part of this agreement is held to be unenforceable or invalid for any reason, the balance of this agreement will be enforced, as if the part which is unenforceable or invalid did not exist. And this is all the same stuff as before. So that's it. So it's still the governing law, jurisdiction, class action waiver, disagreement materials. Basically, more, you're not allowed to sue us. You're not allowed to sue us. You agree that you have reviewed this amendment, blah, 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 blah. Terms and conditions may apply. That's it. Good Lord. That is one hell of an egg salad.
Yeah.
How did we go from 900 words to a 15-page document that has to be put in your shit? Did they have their counsel review this?
Probably not.
This is clearly a draft because there's spelling errors and
it's a draft, and it clearly was leaked.
Yeah. Now there is some things like spacing errors, and that's just because it's a Google Doc, so there's probably translation format errors from that at the very least. And the snarkiness in some of it. Like let me see if I can find the one line.
Some of it was definitely like some like brow bashing.
Yeah. Oh, and the tier system.
Yeah, it was definitely in there somewhere.
I'm trying to find that one very specifically that we
Yeah,
like. It set us off for a bit.
yeah, Proton Stalker. Yeah, the D
Oh,
is
here
one.
it is. Here it is. This is the part we wanted to see. We are giving you a license, not agreeing to take on potential liability when we do so. To be honest, we're not really sure what we could do while making Dungeons and Dragons content available to you that could ever be grossly negligent. But our lawyers say we need to include the last clause under Washington law, so in it goes.
Yeah, that whole thing is one giant, like, snooty middle finger.
Yeah. D upon. Yes, D upon all of this.
And that whole thing is like one giant snooty middle finger. That's what it is.
Oh, God, it was awful. It was rude, snarky, definitely a fear. Somebody said earlier that it was a scare tactic, and I absolutely agree with that. This is designed to try to chase off would-be's and whatnot. God, this is so painful. So in short, if you say D&D from now on, you owe Wizards of the Coast $25. Yeah, I definitely see why everybody's upset.
And why so many trusted people are leaving.
Yeah. Lessons learned, kids. If you make something awesome, then don't sell it to the corpos. At least it become yet another greedy monster. Oh, Lord.
I would love to know what Gary Gygax's son thinks about all this shit going on.
Oh, I mean, like, he's in a lawsuit against Wizards right now. Well, at least one of them is. It's Gary Jr. who's in the lawsuit. And
I guarantee you, if Gygax was alive today, he'd be throwing a shit fit over this. Gary was alive when this shit going on, he would be throwing one hell of a shit fit.
Oh, God. Gygax got real pissed when he got pushed out of TSR.
He's always been about having it open to everybody.
Yeah, and then I mean, like the open game license, it wasn't him who came up with it. It was what was his name?
He didn't come up with it, but he supported 100%.
Oh yeah, he loved the idea. And now that we actually do know that people are suing, and it's not just like little content creators, it's the token estate of all things.
Token estate, Cobalt, no, they're not suing, but like I know Token is suing, and a bunch of others are getting lawyers.
Yep. So this is going to be fun to see what happens, especially seeing the type of crowd D&D has for a long time now. They don't like anything corporate. I never seen the D&D community so united, and it's all against
Hasbro.
All against Hasbro. Hasbro has to be like, I imagine Hasbro employees came in Monday, probably got a whole bunch of angry emails from a bunch of randos, and turned to look at like Wizards of the Coast and like, what did you do? I have to imagine it'd be like that. And it's like, what did you do this time? It's like nothing. Oh God, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. We definitely have not seen the end of this.
Oh no, because we're going to see what happens in 2 days.
See what happens in 2 days. I don't think this is going to be enforced in 2 days.
No. Well, no. I would assume there's going to be some kind of announcement in 2 days.
I would assume so. I'm going to be balled over if they actually go forward with this.
Like I said, if they have the stones and actually go forward with this as planned, and they don't back down at all, this will destroy Dungeons and Dragons.
It's at least going to destroy this creative side of it.
It's basically it's going to usher in a bunch of competition for D&D, which is what they don't want. And it's going to bring it back, bring back the Wild West of D&D, where you have all these companies that are going to start springing up and basically be competition for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Instead of working with Dungeons and Dragons, now be working against them.
This is the third time this has happened. It's the third time. Do these idiots just not learn? You got the big thing with like TSR when it got booted out of existence. And that spawned a whole bunch of stuff. I think it was like White Wolf Games. That's where they came from. And then 4th edition happened, and that's where Paizo came in. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. And my money is on Critical Role and probably Cobalt Press.
Yeah, because Critical Role has also been very quiet about what's going on behind closed doors. Because, like, no doubt, like I said, you're probably talking to lawyers and stuff like that. And again, Critical Role also has Amazon on their side. Like, and Amazon is they're not going to play.
Paramount has that movie coming out. I can't believe they're too happy about this. Like that movie comes out in like what, a week?
Yeah, it comes out in a week, which is an absolute poor timing for this shit to happen.
So I imagine Paramount is like going, what the fuck?
Because no doubt this is going to cost them money because people are not going to go see the movie now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying they're not going to go see the movie. Now I think I'm actually going to be interested to see if the movie succeeds or not, and just how badly it actually does. Because I don't think a boycott against the D&D movie is going to be that bad, but because normie audiences probably aren't even aware this is all going down.
Yeah.
But if normies don't go see the D&D movie, that's really going to shed a light on how big Dungeons and Dragons actually is.
You have the movie coming out. There's supposed to be some kind of TV show, I think.
There's talks about another D&D animated TV show or a live action show based around the 80s characters.
Yeah, so you had all this stuff coming out, and then all of a sudden this happens, and like literally the hammer literally drops.
It drops at the worst time, a week before air. On top of all of this, the original voice actor for Presto from the cartoon, he passed away this week. So that's always a sad thing to hear. So it's just not been a good week for D&D.
You know, like if I was Amazon, I'd be curious about trying to maybe purchase Wizards of the Coast from Hasbro.
I think there's a possible. Now this is just me wearing my tinfoil hat. So the CEO of Hasbro, the former CEO of Hasbro, this was unknown, but he had cancer and he passed away late last year. And the CEO that got put in charge of Hasbro altogether used to work for Microsoft. He put in charge a bunch of Microsoft friends of his, including the woman who's in charge of Wizards of the Coast. So I'm thinking, and I'm just speculating, I'm not saying anything. I can't help but think that maybe there's a little bit of conspiracy theory because Microsoft has been buying up a lot of game companies over the past couple of years. Like Blizzard, I think they bought Blizzard Activision. There wasn't there a couple of others?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking that Wizards of the Coast or probably maybe even Hasbro altogether is just one of those properties Microsoft wants. I'm just putting it out there. I don't think there's any. I don't have a leg to stand on, but I'm just saying there's some fishiness going on with this train of thought.
We'll see in a couple days because the 13th is the deadline according to that thing. So we'll see if they make any announcement on the 13th.
Any announcement on the 13th? Jesus, this whole thing is hilarious. Well, we've been going for over 3 hours now. That took us 3 hours to read that. You got anything you want to leave us on, Amish? Any words of wisdom?
No, really. Definitely something probably revisit once if we do even hear anything at the 13th.
Yeah, we'll see what's happening on the 13th, but yeah, it probably won't prevent us from meeting up this Saturday for our home game. What are we gonna do, man?
Well, for now we can still play D&D 5e, but until the hammer drops, then we can switch to another system.
I mean, I really don't want to be playing. Everybody's telling me to do stream memes. All right, Tyler Preston, you go and walk your dog. Enjoy the walk with your pet. Something actually enjoyable. Stream memes. All right.
I mean, we'll still be able to play. It won't be D&D, but we got plenty of systems we can play.
Anyone reading the OGL? Run for the hills! Dungeons & Dragons new license tightens grips on the competition. Games Workshop, no! What? Sorry, Force of Habit. We strongly believe in the power of creativity and the goal of the old OGL. This new OGL revision, in both commercial and non-commercial forms, is helping our incredible community to build and share campaigns, supplements, and other content that enriches the way we play D&D. And the lie detectors test determined that was a lie. It's my game and my rules. Pretty much, yeah. I'm a lawyer. I know a lot about the law and various other lawyerings. Is this made by someone who identifies as a lawyer? Pretty much. You will not do anything that could harm our reputations. Congratulations, you played yourself. Here it is. I love how Wizards of the Coast has decided to fuck with licensing like they didn't literally teach me how to act like a pirate. Termination. All parties in this agreement are to be terminated. Looking for good faith in the OGL document. So far, error 4 for no good faith found. If we are on the receiving end of any legal claims, fees, expenses, penalties, license work, you're responsible to pay all of our costs, including attorney fees, court costs, and judgments and settlements. Deal with the devil. Wizards of the Coast. It's Rumpelstiltskin. Kicking him while he's down. Jesus. Oh my God, it's such a mess. All right, Amish, any last words?
No, not really.
No, not really. All right, well, that's going to do it for me. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, D&D this Saturday, new Smoke and Mirrors, hopefully, maybe this Sunday. We'll see how things are going. Blue's still working hard on that art, so you can make sure you say thank you, Blue, for all the wonderful Smoke and Mirrors, all right?
Thank you, Blue.
Thank you, Blue. Eat your vegetable, kids. Yep. I'm Dr. Crow. I read a book once, and it's my goal to make you smile. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.